Welcome everybody to the 2022 AEKC Championship here at 3RK in Leetsdale, Pennsylvania. I'm joined here by Brandon Lampert as my co-commentator.
How are you doing, Ryan?
Alright, it's definitely a beautiful day here at 3RK. We're just about ready to kick things off. Our four drivers are in the carts. We have Thomas, Devin, Shane Kenny, and Condor. Brandon, who are our 2v2s going up against?
So right now we're sending out Thomas and Devin. They will be facing off head-to-head as the 19th and 13th seed. And then we have Shane and Condor going at it as the 15th and 17th seed. Those are the two head-to-head matchups to be watching here.
Awesome. Thank you for that wonderful information, Brandon. As the carts now have our caution speed, thumbs up are given, and our first four drivers are now ready to get out on the track. They definitely do look very excited to get this going. So just a few little tidbits about this track. Most of our drivers have driven a lot of this track. A lot of it is going to seem familiar to them. However, as you can see on our kink, that is the brand new corner that we have put in for just for today's playoffs. So only 4 of the 19 drivers that showed up today to drive have actually driven on that kink. So it's definitely going to be interesting what kind of lines are going to take through there. And we'll take you right through the action here at 3RK.
So Ryan, let me ask you, you've had a chance to practice on this new layout that the general public has not raced. What's the degree of difficulty adding that kink back there?
It's definitely a little bit of, your mind definitely wants to keep going straight, because without that kink, that whole thing was just straight, easy, flat out. Heart like to hop a little bit, but as long as you managed it nice and well, you're flying through there probably 25, 30 miles an hour, no problem. Now with this kink here, it is a big lift before you turn in for that corner, and you definitely just have to flutter that throttle just a little bit. Keep the cart stable, keep the cart from hopping. So, yep, here we go for our first lap. We got Thomas. He has a 22.8. However, Devin goes 0.3 faster with a 22.57 for their first lap. Shane Kenny can only put down a 23.08. And then we got Condor at P1 right now, 22.52. 8 laps remaining. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Devin improves just slightly with a 22.53, average of a 22.59. It looks like we got Condor at a 5.2. We'll see. He could not improve on that last lap. However, he is very consistent. Definitely still on the top for that average. Shane Kenny really improves, going down to a 22.68, getting those tires a little bit warmer. And then Devin heads up in the lead with that 5.09.
So one thing I find interesting, Ryan, that I noticed that's different from last year, this is no longer a 4-minute race. It is actually counted by laps, where they are doing 10 laps. Is that right?
That is correct. So last year we had it as a 4-minute race, and we had the first corner here with the NASCAR bend and a double hairpin. So that took out the entire back section of that track, and it really made the track so much shorter, to the point where they were running 17-second lap times instead of 22-second lap times. With this being a 10-lap race, that verifies that everybody has 2 drop laps that they can have. So what we will do is we will have 10 laps run, and your worst 2 get sliced off, so you can, have 2 bad laps in there, and you'll still maybe have a faster average than somebody right at the end. So just leaves a little bit of margin of error. So before we were doing about 14 laps. Here you're lucky if you get 10. So that's why we just have it a 10-lap race. Make it about 4.5 minutes instead. Getting right back to the action now. We got Devin with a 22.28. Fastest lap by over 2 tenths to Condor, who just improved to a 4.82. 4 laps remaining. Can you remind us once again who those 2 V2s are?
So we have Devin going off against Thomas. So Devin being in the lead, it looks like he has a slight edge over Thomas right now. And then we have Condor against Shane. As we can see, obviously, Condor holds a nice lead over him.
Yeah, it definitely does look like that Devin has this in the bag against Thomas. However, they do switch carts after this. So it's definitely going to be interesting seeing whenever they do end up switching those carts, if that really makes up the difference. Because last year I was actually in the AEKC playoffs and commentating, as I am doing this year. And whenever I was in one cart and another person was in his other cart, he was okay at driving his cart and I was decently good at driving my cart. Whenever we swapped the carts, I was 0.2 faster than him in the cart that he was in, and that made up the difference. We were matched before then. So it's definitely going to be very interesting seeing them switch, as it looks like number 6 of Thomas is going to take the checkered flag. You can only pull out a 22.49 with an average of a 22.6, it looks like. And then we got Condor in second, 22.391. Devin is our pole sitter at a 22.288, and then Shane Kenny bringing up the rear at a 22.680. That was our first round of the AEKC. We're going to look at our second round here in just a second. Who is our second round going out, Brandon?
Well, I'm trying to see down on the TV screen. The closer TV screen does not yet have the pictures up there.
All right, there we go. So we do have it up now. So it looks like Ender Beast, the Dark Asian Rises, Rat Miata, and Kick a Flea. That's going to be our 4 drivers, and they are already leaving the pit lane. Real quick, Brandon, if you could just show us who's the 2v2s.
Well, here we have Kick a Flea. He is a bright young uprising star. I love watching him race. Pretty new to this. He has a tough matchup though, as he's going to be facing off head-to-head against Drew, also known as Rat Miata, a seasoned veteran here. And then we have Ender Beast, one of our more popular drivers, a lot of experience. Ender Beast is going head-to-head against the Dark Asian Rises.
All right, this is definitely going to be interesting. Ender Beast has not been here at 3RK for a little bit. She has taken a little bit of a detour, so to say, at Pit Race. She has been racing in the Junior LO206 Championship, so she's been doing very well in there. I actually did end up going out watching her race. Very talented driver out there. So it's definitely not, and then against Dark Asian Rises, he hasn't been here for a little bit either. So we'll see how these drivers are really going to face off head-to-head at that kink is going to be that major point. Rat Miata versus, who's that other driver? Kick a Flea. Kick a Flea. All right. So Kick a Flea is a little bit newer to our championship here. This is his first playoffs versus Drew's third playoffs. Kick a Flea is no slouch, though, out on that track. He's been coming here quite a lot, trying to get practice in on this track and getting used to these carts. And definitely going to be interesting to see what kind of laps they put in.
I love watching the growth of these young drivers. I remember the very first time that Kick a Flea ever hopped into one of these go-karts. It was during one of the Three Rivers Karting Cosmic Saturday nights out here. And he just had a knack for it, and he's been coming back every Saturday since. We told him about our league, and what do you know? Here he is, racing in the playoffs. What an opportunity for him.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always great to see how much quicker drivers get. Throughout the league, he was in the C heat, and then he, at the end of it, he ended up in back of A, middle of A, and he's been really, really improving. As we see there, he is actually in front of the veteran Rat Miata by 0.05 seconds, so that's definitely going to be a very interesting battle to look at, as they are going back and forth all over the place as Ender Beast beats out Dark Asian Rises. This is definitely going to be an extremely interesting battle. Rat Miata goes fastest at a 22.479. Kick a Flea cannot answer to that at a 22.533. 7 laps remaining. We got Ender Beast up ahead of Dark Asian Rises as she sets a 6.85, pretty close to her best time of a 6. However, Dark Asian Rises goes to a 5.58, ever so slightly edging ahead of Ender Beast. Ender Beast does have a slightly faster average still, 0.03 beating out Dark Asian Rises. Rat Miata is faster than Kick a Flea on his average by 0.07. Definitely interesting. So we'll see Dark Asian Rises come across, cannot improve. We'll see if Ender Beast can improve, get in front of Dark Asian here. Ender Beast does still have that faster average. Kick a Flea is starting to gain back at Rat Miata. However, Rat Miata did just set a 3.92, bringing his average ever so slightly faster. 4 laps remaining. We have Dark Asian Rises versus Ender Beast and Rat Miata versus Kick a Flea. Closest battle we've had out of these two races. We'll see. This is the kind of battle where changing the cart can really determine who's actually going to show up on top. It's not that these carts are so distant apart, it's just that these drivers do have a favorite cart of how it handles, how it turns in for corners, maybe the power delivery. It can be a multitude of different things.
Well, Ryan, as we wrap up this incredible race going on right now, it brings you back to last year. You remember the final race of the playoffs last year, the move that Luke made against Renegade, specifically picking that 17 card, which at the time was a very, very poor card, intentionally choosing that so that way Renegade would have that card in the second half of that matchup, in which he would try to overcome that gap by getting the better card. And one of the most amazing battles I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, it was definitely an amazing battle, and just a little correction there, it was cart 18, not cart 17, but cart 18 definitely was not the fastest cart at that time. Nowadays you can argue it to be even the fastest cart out there. There is only one lap remaining here in this race. Rat Miata is slightly ahead of Kick a Flea, less than a tenth separates both battles out on track. Actually, we have 1,000th of a second between Dark Asian Rises and Ender Beast. Ender Beast goes across at a 6.88 average. Dark Asian cannot improve, goes at a 7.07. That is definitely going to be a battle that you want to see again. Keep tabs on that. We'll see who ends up in front. But we do have Rat Miata with that fastest lap time of 22.364.
Wow, we are only 2 races into this, and we are already seeing some incredible back and forth action here.
All right, our 4 next drivers are already loaded in. This is going to be their second race here, getting in those exact same carts that their competitors were in. We have, once again, Thomas against Devin and Shane against Condor. So we'll see if those carts are actually fully charged up. We'll be right back after a few short commercials. All right, everybody, thank you for patiently waiting. We do have our 4 drivers back out on track after those carts have been fully charged up, ready to go for their other 10 laps. So, just for those of you who have not been to Three Rivers Karting or are not familiar with the AEKC, the American E-Kart Championship is just a championship throughout 20 plus, 25 plus different locations that all have electric carts. It's just to bring, rental carts a little bit more competition and bring a little bit of, just some more competition throughout the electric karting facilities where you would normally just go in, pay for a race, and then leave. So these are for the hardcore racers who are definitely trying to win some money out there and don't want to spend a whole lot of money. We are now getting underway with our first laps out there. Devin with a 22.374, right ahead of Thomas, who is, I believe, is his competitor. Is that correct, Ben?
Thomas against Devin and Shane against Condor.
All right. It does look like a similar story even after they have traded carts, but maybe that's just their throwaway lap. We'll see exactly what they can throw down for their second lap. It looks like Shane Kenny does not improve, goes 4/10 slower on his second lap versus his first lap. We got Devin at a 3.20 and then just improved to a 2.11. Definitely interesting to see him out there, improving out there all the time. Kart 6, he was in Kart 12, now he's in Kart 6. We have Condor, who was in Kart 10, now in Kart 13, and vice versa for all their competitors.
The interesting thing about our playoffs here is that it goes based off your standings in the last 3 leagues combined. If you run just one of the 3 leagues, you can get enough points to qualify into these playoffs, and that's exactly what Devin did. Devin's a pretty young racer, just came up in the junior league, and he's already made a statement that he is a very good racer.
All right, thank you for that information. We also do have Drew Ratmiata. He's only done 1 league, and he has put himself in P16 in the championship. He has done that strategically, so he gets 20 more laps out on the track versus his competitors who get a first-round bye. We're getting back right to the action. 5 laps remaining. Devin at a 22.211 versus Thomas's 22.775. I believe it is Condor and Shane Kenny. I keep getting this mixed up in my head. They are going up against each other there, and it looks like Condor has 2/10 advantage on his average, and Devin actually has a 7/10, almost a 7/10 advantage on his average here. All right, 3 laps remaining. 22.145 from Devin. I missed that fastest lap. That really cooking. Once we get to the end of this day and that pink really starts to get rubbered in, I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see exactly how much faster they will be getting once that gets rubbered in back there. We might even get 21s down on this track once we get those fast people out.
You bring up a good point too, because that kink back there, that kink has not been used on this track in multiple years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, definitely multiple years. I believe the last time it was used was in April or May of 2019. So we are only bringing it back just for this. You do see back in that kink, we do still have all of our construction equipment back there. So as soon as these playoffs are over, it's going right back to the original straight back there. So only for our playoff contenders can they experience this track. Everybody else who will be coming here just for an arrive and drive will experience our great track too. Definitely fun flooring it back through that back section. As everybody takes the checkered flag, Devin seems to beat out Thomas, and we got Condor and Shane Kenny, and it looks like Condor is going to beat out Shane. We do have our 4 drivers in their carts for our round 2 of our first round. They are switching carts, and we'll see exactly what Dark Asian and Reiner is her name. I can't remember what her racer name is. Enderbeast, there it is. What she can do. Because they were only separated by less than a 10th. Believe who was in the lead between the two of them? Was it Enderbeast? I believe Enderbeast was beating her. Him, sorry.
The Dark Asian had a slight lead for a while there. I think once Enderbeast kind of found her rhythm a little bit more, she did end up with a faster best lap time. I am very interested to see this Rat Miata and Kickaflee duel, though, because they were back and forth. This is a pure example of young rook with a lot of skill against a seasoned vet. I can't wait to see what's about to happen here.
Definitely going to be interesting. Karts 4 and 5 are known by our league members to be some of our quickest karts, just because they are a little bit easier to drive than some of our other ones. But we have seen some people get into some karts that people would consider to be poor karts, but then they would run decently good times out there. Well, we have all of our carts about to be unplugged. Cart number 2 is unplugging right now, and it looks like they are about to get caution speed, get ready to go out. We're waiting for cart 5 to receive some speed. And there we go. We have all of our carts on and ready to leave this pit area. Once again, it is Rat Miata versus Kickaflee, Enderbeast versus Dark Asian. Back and forth battles, and we'll see who can end up on top. Moving on to round 2. And we just got some news in. Devin and Condor are moving on to our next round. So that unfortunately leaves out the dynamic duo of Thomas and Shane Penny. They are eliminated in the first round.
So just so everybody is aware, with Condor moving on, Condor is the, as I wait for my picture to come up, Condor is the 17th seed. As he moves on, he will be facing E2, who I believe is Eric?
That is Eric. E2 is Eric.
And Devin will be moving on to be going up against our number 1 seeded Homer.
Yeah, Homer is our number 1 seed. He did participate in all 3 of our leagues, and he was setting some very, very consistent results there. Setting extremely consistent results and showed up every single week and ended up putting himself in the number 1 seed, the number 1 threat statistically for this playoffs.
I'm interested to see how Homer does in these playoffs. He is one of the guys out here that I see constantly on this track practicing. You know, several days through the week he'll show up just to get some runs in. He's got the drive to do it. I can't wait to see how he does.
And this is a bit of an upset. Looks like Enderbeast is tearing up the track right now. 22-4. Dark Asian only at 22-8. There is a 4/10 difference between the two of them. So that's what I was just saying, is they can be close whenever they're in one kart, but as soon as they swap out, you know, that might fit their driving style, might fit how they like to, you know, drive that kart around some of these corners and really end up on top. We got Rat Miata beating out Kickaflee by just a small margin, less than a tenth of a second. However, his average is much, much better. We're going to have to see after this to see exactly what they are going to do.
Yeah, this is a good example of, speaking of Enderbeast, some of these drivers that they've always been known to be very great racers here, but when you're not here for a very long time, it can take a while to get your footing back, but once you get your rhythm back, as you can see, you know, like with Enderbeast, you can be pretty dangerous.
That is quite clear, actually. Looks like still a 4/10 difference between the two of them. She's really liking that kart number 2, as Kickaflee sets a 22-3-8-4. Rat Miata does answer with a faster lap time, however, with a 3-5-1. There is still a tenth of a second between them, as this might hinder a little bit. It looks like Dark Asian is getting lapped by the competitor of Enderbeast. She is right on Dark Asian's tail and is just about to lap him. Maybe only 1 lap left before, you know, that really might screw some things up here, because Dark Asian is going to lose a lap, which means that he is only going to have 1 drop lap out there. Blue flag is out. Dark Asian moves off to the side and lets the competitor through.
That is a very good point you just brought up. I did not even think about that. They are losing that 1 extra drop-off lap when you get lapped. That could be critical.
could be critical, especially if you have one lap that might not be good, especially because he had to move out of the way. That last lap was at 23.6, so that will be his one and only drop, and the lap before that was only a 23.2. So it's not looking great for the Dark Agent at this point. Enderbeast still has a large gap over Enderbeast. However, the more interesting story is between Rat Miata and Kikaflea, only 0.04 of a second separating the two of them on their average. And remember, they weren't far apart on that first race. So we'll see what the math actually shows off after these drivers finish their race, their one lap. We'll see exactly if somebody can set a hero lap here. Rat Miata's last lap was a 1/10 of a second faster, so that definitely helped his average. As Enderbeast crosses the finish line, gets a 22.407. And then we have Kikaflea that can only answer with a 4.51. We got Rat Miata crossing the line last with a 4.10. So Rat Miata and Kikaflea are only half a second apart on this first average, and we're definitely going to have to see after the math plays in who's going to move on in this AEKC Championship. We'll be right back after a short break. Alright guys, welcome back to the AEKC Championship. It seems like this is round 2, race 1 of the AEKC Championship. Homer versus E2, Devin versus Condor. I believe that is what this is. And we will see who is going to come out on top. First time seeing these drivers out on the track. We're waiting for their first laps to come in. Alright, so while Brandon is taking a short break, we do have a new commentator in the booth, Patrick Ferrone. He will be both filling in for me whenever I go out on the track, and whenever one of our commentators need a little bit of a break.
Hello everyone out there in YouTube world, my name is Patrick, it's great to be with you this evening. So we're kicking off round 2 here, where we just had, as the scoreboard updates, we had Devin and...
I believe it was Devin and Homer and Condor versus E2. I believe those were the battles. We will verify that once we got Brandon back in the building to check out what those brackets look like.
Right, so Devin and Condor, you just got done watching a moment ago. They have fought their way into the bracket. Now they are facing Homer and E2, we have yet to figure out what the 1v1 matchups are there. Homer, as we mentioned before, is the #1 seed, accumulating the most points throughout the year. Quite a competitor. What can you tell us about what's going on so far here in the start of round 2?
Looks like in the start of round 2, we do have Devin on top. Only a 22-6 from Devin in cart 20. Maybe that one isn't quite suiting him. However, he is in the lead over Homer, who has a 22-6.55. I stand corrected. There goes Condor going fastest at a 22.534. First one into fives in this round. And E2 only showing up at a 23.07 in cart 18. That was a little bit referenced earlier on today.
And remember, folks, with this kind of format, it is average time, so you will see no sandbagging, which means any slow times that pop up on the board are worth the shock and awe. Anyone not getting the best out of their cart, it will impact them in the long run and their total score here when we average the times. Condor still sitting at the top of the board with a 22.534. Looks like the next down competitor, Devin, is a 10th down. I take that back. Devin has just ran a 22.462 in that number 20 cart.
Yeah, that 20 cart, as I was saying, he did have a 22.6 to begin with. Getting those tires a little bit more warmed up, getting that cart more warmed up, and getting a little bit warmed up to the cart even. Getting a 22.462 with 4 laps remaining in this race. E2 dips down into the 22s with a 22.908 on that last lap. And we welcome Brandon back into the booth after his little break that he had.
How are you guys doing in here? I appreciate you for filling in, Patrick. Thank you.
All right, so Brandon, go ahead and pull up the bracket real quick so we can see who we are versing against. Whenever you are ready, go ahead.
So as we can see right here, we have Devin and Condor. They just moved on from the previous round. Devin is going up against, give me one moment here. The picture I printed out actually cut off that part of the bracket.
Oh, of course it did. Of course it did. So we do have 2 laps remaining here with Devin, Condor, Homer, and E2. We will give you some more information once we get it. We got Devin in the lead right now with a 22.426, excuse me, but his last lap was only a 22.59, and that is slower than Condor with a 5.79. White flag is out as the drivers are going on their final lap out here. And we'll see exactly what these drivers can set down on this ever so changing track as it is getting rubbered in. And playoffs are normally the fastest time to get those fastest laps. Homer takes the checkered first, cart 11, with a fastest of a 22.565, average of a 7.06 as our next 2 drivers go across the line. And then we have cart number 8 of Condor going across the line. And that ends our round 2 racers here.
Yes, so that matchup again is actually Devin winning in that previous round over Thomas. Devin against Homer, again our 1 seed, and Condor beating Shane in the last round. Condor versus E2, and as we just saw, our 2 round 1 winners actually finished with better times than those 2 drivers that had the bye week, so to speak.
All right, so we are moving on to what some would call our heavy hitter round. We have Scooter Stew versus Renegade. Renegade lost out to Luke last year, if you guys remember, by 0.006 seconds, right down to the wire, right at the end, in the finals. And Scooter Stew has won 2 of our 3 leagues, I believe. I believe he did win our last league. And I believe he has won 2 out of the only 2, because I think he only participated in 2.
Yes, 2 of these leagues here, he did not run a full 8 weeks, so he did not, have a solid chance to win that league. But he does have a win here, and Ryan, you said it, the heavy hitters. I think that's putting it lightly. These are 4 of the fastest racers that we have here. So for the fans at home, if there is a race to watch, it's this one right here.
It's 100% this one. Roadrunner versus Wags. This is going to be a very, very interesting battle. They both have 500 plus races logged here, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see what these 2 veterans can actually do here. We got Roadrunner. He was an employee here, and he knows the ins and outs of this place. But that doesn't mean Wags doesn't either. He is an American e-kart champion here at 3RK. However, he has not won down in Jacksonville or Chicago it was at. He has won 2 championships here. He won our one in 2019 or 2020. He won the 2021, however, it was canceled due to that. Due to, obviously, the ongoing pandemic of COVID-19. And he is definitely looking for maybe another title, maybe can cancel somebody out from going, and maybe he can fill in for 2 spots there.
It's been a while since we've seen the great Wags take this track, so he's definitely looking to make a statement. But important thing to note here too is that just 2 days ago, Renegade came in on some free time to get some practice laps in, and he actually set the track record, beating his own previous track record. Now, keep in mind that was with the backstretch, not the kink back there, but he came out and shows you how dominant he can be. So that's going to be something to watch also.
And I did say these were heavy hitters. In our first lap, we got Roadrunner on his second lap, got a 22-2 already. So he's down all the way down in the 22-2s, with Wags all the way in the 22-4, so that's who we're going up against. We got Renegade, who only has a 22-4 versus Scooter Stew's 22-3. Definitely interesting to see these 4 drivers out on the track at the same time.
Ryan, let me ask you this. Does it not blow your mind a little bit that 2 of these 4 drivers are not going to make it to the next round?
That's absolutely incredible, because these are 4 incredible racers, always in the A group. They are rarely ever seen in that B group, and if it is, it's just because they had a bad week. However, these are some of our fastest, absolute time crunchers that we have out on the track right now.
You may be wondering, like me, how could these 4 of the best drivers, you would expect to see them as the 1, 2, 3, 4 seed. Well, that's because that the seeding is ranked by all 3 of the playoffs. So as you look here, Scooter Stew only has 1 full league completed. Renegade has done 2 full leagues and actually won both of them, but did not participate at all in the third. Dean, 2 out of the 3 leagues, finishing 1st and 2nd. And Wags, doing 2 out of the 3 leagues, finishing 3rd and 4th. So that is how the seeding ended up being the way it is, which I think makes this playoffs a whole lot more interesting.
It definitely does shake up the field a little bit. Maybe puts people in places that they're not supposed to be in. Definitely a little bit interesting to see how these guys are going to fare. We got Roadrunner, the first driver into the 22-1s in this race in Kart 21. We got Scooter Stew in the 22-2-8s. His last lap was that fastest lap. His average is all the way down to a 22-3, and Roadrunner's average is all the way down in the 22-2-6. He is incredibly consistent out there with his fastest lap time only 0.06 seconds off. Now that's some racing right there.
Roadrunner, Dean, obviously is an incredible racer, as I learned the hard way in that one endurance race. But I will say, it does not seem like it's very often that you're going to see Renegade on the leaderboard at the bottom.
That is not very often you'll see that, and that's going to hurt his pro skill a little bit, maybe his pride a little bit. But we'll see. Once again, these drivers are going to swap karts, as we were just talking bad about Renegade. He shoots himself up into 3rd place, and our AEKC champion Wags at 3RK has ended up in final position. And of course, as I say that, sets a 22-2-7-1 on his second to last lap. And we now have Scooter Stew taking the checkered flag with a 22-2-8, his average of a 3.6. We got Renegade taking the checkered at a 4. And I believe we got one more driver, Wags, to take that checkered flag. His final lap is going to be a 22-3-8. So, this is interesting. Roadrunner set a 22-1-6-7 fastest lap with his average of a 22-2-5. That is faster than Scooter Stew's best lap time in 3rd. That is incredible racing there.
You would think that we just watched the quarterfinals or semifinals of the playoffs, but this is round 2, ladies and gentlemen.
This is round 2. And here goes another round 2 with Tripod versus Simon. Rat Miata versus Ender Beast, I believe, if we have it in order on our screen here.
Yo, Ender Beast moving on from the last round. Actually, no, that's correct. No, I apologize. I read my own writing wrong. So, Rat Miata moved on after defeating Kikaflea just barely in an incredible battle. So, that means Rat Miata moves on to face Simon, who is the 4th seed. Ender Beast defeating the Dark Asian Rises to face our number 2 seed, Tripod. So, this should be another intense battle.
Yes, this will definitely be an intense battle. Here goes Rat Miata as he is getting ready to go. And I might be getting ready to go here in just a little bit once I see who is up in this next race. I don't know if they're going to be doing round 2s. I'm not entirely sure of when I'll be leaving this commentary booth to go join these racers out on the track. But we'll have to see exactly when that time is once they start this heat. Once again, Rat Miata versus Ender Beast. Tripod versus Simon. We have seen these 4 racers on this track already. And they are ready to go, it appears. And I am going to be in this next race coming up. So we're going to have Patrick Ferrone take my spot in the throne. And then we have Brandon, who is going to be co-commentating alongside Patrick.
All right, good luck to you, Ryan.
Okay, and off goes Ryan down to the pits. We wish him well. We're still waiting for the first lap here of this round. Fill me in, what have I missed?
Well, you see we have 4 of our, 2 of our previous first round winners going up against the drivers that again got that so-called bye week or bye race, however you want to look at it. The racers that didn't have to race in the first round.
They fought their way into the bracket.
They absolutely, yes. So they fought their way into the bracket, and now they're going to try to fight their way to the top. They have a lot to prove. They're not just here on, I guess, they're here to leave a message. They're here to really show, as we saw last round with Kikaflea and Rat Miata, incredible battle. Patrick, did we get the actual final disparity in the average lap time final between Rat Miata and Kikaflea? Because it had to be close.
I don't believe we have that information. If it has, I did not receive that in the booth. Let's take a look at Tripod is your leader in this race so far with lap times 22.376 in cart number 2. Let's try to find Tripod. I believe he's coming through the kink now. Yes, he is. He turns down to the main straight. He's there in that black shirt. Looks like khaki shorts combo. Heading down into turn 3, followed by cart 14 of Simon, running a 22.6. Not Simon's best efforts. We've seen him go much faster before. Rat Miata, I take that back. Ender B72 just jumps up to the top of the board with a 22.353 with 6 laps remaining, coming up to the halfway point here.
Like I mentioned earlier, once you find a rhythm, an experienced driver like Ender Beast, you gotta watch out, because she does not mess around on that racetrack.
Rat Miata in cart 5 goes to a 22.327 and to the top of the leaderboard. What's interesting, I'm noticing Tripod in cart 2 has most of the track to himself, whereas cart 14 Simon is getting backed up into traffic. This might cause some confusion here. 4 laps to go, this can definitely get sticky. A cart ahead will interfere with your moves, your line, your practiced skills. You'll have to start reacting instead of being a proactive driver.
Now, it is a rarity, but we do see the blue and orange flag here when the time calls for it, but that could also be a huge disadvantage if that driver that is getting lapped really needs to fight their way at the end of the race to get their lap time up. If you get blue flagged and get lapped by the leader, you have to move over, and that's going to essentially wipe out that lap time.
It takes it away from you completely. Let's follow on board with Tripod. I'm going to show you how fast these drivers go by trying to commentate a lap at the same time. Down the front stretch goes the second cart. Heavy brakes into turn 1. Throw it as hard to the left as you can. Right through turn 2. Hit a little touch of the brakes through turn 3. Now you're coming back through the serpentine into the tightest hairpin you've seen. You really got to get it close to that inside wall. Throw it to the right. Left into the new kink section. Right. Left. More left. Hang on, stay to the right, and find your full throttle entry back onto the main. Boy, I tell you, they drive faster than I can talk, and that is saying something. The white flag waves. Cart 14 still in traffic, not going to get the blue flag. I think they're going to get a little bit of the grace of the flag stand there, being able to carry out the entirety of the race. Let's see who they're impacting there. Is that cart 5? That's Rat Miata, who is your session leader. getting held up in traffic as the checkered flag waves.
Unfortunately for a great driver like Rad Miata, I don't think that should bear too much of an effect on him, but when these drivers are, racing so tightly in terms of lap times, you never know if that could make a significant difference.
The camera also plays tricks. When you see about 5 foot of gap on your TV screen there, it honestly on the track feels like you are right next to them about to make contact. Very sketchy situation to be in. It takes your mind completely off of the race. It takes a hardened driver not to worry whatsoever when you're following that tightly. And again, this track is a very tight circuit regardless. It takes skill to get around here in any smooth amount of time, let alone with the driver ahead. It looks like we have almost loaded up the entire next race. It looks like 3 out of 4 drivers. I believe I know what's happening here. They are going to send them out. I believe Cheshire Cat, Bessie Chase, is getting a bye round. I believe her opponent did not show up, which leaves the Rubik's pilot, you would know as Ryan Black, your commentator for today, going up against Chris Jr. Cheshire Cat in the white shirt. We've got, for identification, a black shirt with the shiny helmet is the Rubik's pilot, and Chris Jr. with the blue and orange helmet and gray shirt. 3 karts on track.
Well, it's exciting to get to have our own commentator up here in the booth, out on the track, in the midst of all these battles, to get to come back up here and tell us what it was like.
Talk about speaking from experience. He's going to
absolutely
be refreshed here very, very shortly.
So, and yes, you mentioned it with Cheshire Cat. Her opponent was set to be Joe, another one of our youngsters in the leagues that's making a nice up-and-coming case as a great driver. Not here. This is essentially a free practice run for Bessie, aka Cheshire Cat.
Do you think that's going to cause any controversy with the other drivers? This is technically a session she's in. She just gets the bye regardless.
Well, speaking personally, I know this did happen last year, a couple cases. I personally, you could look at it as one of 2 ways. If you're the driver that doesn't have the competition, yes, you get that extra practice without the worry of having to go battle somebody for the next race. Of course, you're into the next round, but it could play a role on fatigue. Believe me when I tell you, these karts, they will take a toll on you. You can get fatigued pretty quickly, especially in intense battle situations like the playoffs, and will burn you.
That is correct. These karts can handle 2 Gs through the turn. To those unaware at home, that means that twice your body weight can load onto your side as you head through these turns. And trust me, if you are turning these lap times, you are going to feel that about 7 times a lap for the duration of 10 laps straight. It looks like our commentator, Rubik's Pilot, goes to the top of the board with a 22.274, trying to earn himself the nickname fastest commentator alive, with 6 laps remaining here in this session. Chris Jr. at a 22.567. Trying to find the pace in that 13 kart, doing his best. He was, I believe, the 3rd one out of the gate, but it looks like he might be the lap leader, not the time leader, but the lap leader. It looks like when he crosses the timing line is when the lap changes. 22.445, he's constantly improving. It might wreak a little havoc with his average, but he is gaining time. If he keeps on this route, he might have a stellar performance by the end of this session.
Chris Jr., another driver that's kind of making a name for himself. He participated in 2 of the last 3 leagues here. Finished 7th on the Fall Thursday League and then 6th in the Winter League. He's a driver that could, this is a good opportunity for him to sort of make himself known to the go-kart community around here, these drivers.
And as we talk about him, he goes to 22.391. Bessie Chase, Cheshire Cat with a 22.296, and the fastest commentator alive, Rubik's Pilot, with a 22.199.
How about that?
Fantastic stuff. If going back to Chris Jr., he's one of those drivers, as you said, in the point standings, where it's easy to take your eye off him, but he is always there, always scooping up opportunities, always pretty fast, and he's showing that now with this kart 13, finally getting a wrangle on it. Bessie Chase, Cheshire Cat running in the 22.221. Rubik's Pilot 22.199. Incredible performances. 2 laps left. Does anyone have anything more in the tank to bring across the finish line?
Chris Jr., a fantastic driver, as we said, but you draw a tough matchup going against the Rubik's Pilot, our co-host up here, Ryan. He's been putting a lot of work in. I can tell you, as somebody who works here, he gets a lot of practice time on that track. He does not take it for granted, and he wants to win.
White flag waves, as you said. Rubik's Pilot, when he gets an attempt at the track, I've noticed that light in his eye changes. He is no longer a commentator. He is no longer a friend. He is a racer and a competitor, and it shows. He takes every lap on track like it could be his last and leaves nothing on the table. As the checkered flag flies, we have Rubik's Pilot with a fastest lap time of 22.199. Cheshire Cat with a 22.220, a nice tidy OCD number there for me. And Chris Jr. with a 22.391. So we're going to have the next group load up into their carts. We will see these three drivers again for their second round, correct?
That is correct. And if I could just point something out, I just noticed relatively interesting, as we said, Cheshire Cat does not have a competition in this round. However, this battle between the Rubik's Pilot and Chris Jr., the winner of that head-to-head battle is going to be who faces Cheshire Cat in the next round. So seeing where she fares against these guys, that could be pretty important too, just knowing where you stand. It's almost getting a sense of a second shot of redemption. If I don't beat them in this free round, what do I have to do to beat that winner in the next round?
Very interesting. Do you think by chance Cheshire Cat is using any of this free time to get an eye on her opponents, figure out anything about their lines, what they're doing, what they're not doing?
She is a very studious driver. Another one of the drivers I watched when she was young and up and coming, one of her first times here. She wants it just as much as anybody here, and she's always trying to learn. It's just exciting to see these young drivers just grow right before our very eyes.
Here comes the second battle between Homer, E2, Devin, and Condor. Can you remind us again of our 1v1 matchups here?
So our matchups right here, we have our number 1 seeded Homer. Again, this is the second of the two face-offs between Devin, the winner of our first round, and then E2, that is Eric, going against the first round winner, Condor.
It's interesting, Condor and Homer both relatively new to 3RK. Even saying that, Homer is your points leader for the entire year. Talk about getting the bug here for racing at 3RK. Showed up, said, I want to find out what this is all about. Now he's a very, very scary name to be up against here at the championship. So definitely putting in the practice all the time. E2 is our first on the board with a 23.018 out of the gate in cart 8. A lot of rhymes there. Devin with a 22.360. That's looking a lot more like our championship times we've been expecting. Condor 22.700 flat, and Homer with a 22.744. So I wonder what's going on here. If there's a bit of the track maybe cooling down. It is currently 7:53 p.m. where we are. I'm sure the outside temp is cooling down, which cools down the building, which cools down the track. Everything matters, and believe me, with these type of racers, they take everything into the equation. I promise you, by the end of the night, there will be subtle differences in their driving line to keep the tires nice, not overheated, but still in that warm zone where they grip the most.
To your point, too, just think back to last year's championship matchup. The deciding interval between the championship winner, less than, I don't remember the exact number, but in the hundredths of a second. Every little detail matters a lot, especially to these experienced racers.
Folks at home, if you're not the most seasoned racing fan, if you want to find out just how short an interval that is, I encourage you to take out your stopwatch app on your phone and try to start and stop it within that time frame, and you'll find out just how close these battles can be.
That's a beautiful analogy that really kind of shows you just how dedicated and attentive to detail these guys are.
Unfathomable. Devin at a 22.360. The other three competitors, Homer, Condor, and E2, having trouble busting out of the slower half of the 22-second lap times here with half of the race remaining. I'm wondering if maybe someone got into their heads a little bit or what's going on. These are still, trust me, unbelievably fast times, but now we're starting to get used to stuff down at the bottom end of the 22-second range. We're getting a little bit, how would you say that, spoiled with these fast lap times. Homer getting down to a 22.512. It's looking good. Let's follow cart 16 around, or 18 around a lap. That's Condor, another newcomer. Big Formula One fan. He drives like the greats. He's going to come into the hairpin, swing it left, hard right, get as close to that rubber bumper as he can without making too much contact, or else it slows the cart down. Trust me, you will feel the drag. And especially these racers, they can feel it and they know, and they try everything to take into their line so that they do not get slowed down and perform perfect lap after perfect lap.
Now, if you remember back to their first matchup here, I do not have their exact, what their averages were, what the actual number was, but looking at the scoreboard, Devin and Condor, both coming from the first round, finished 1-2 in that first matchup here. So Devin in number 1 right now, putting up a strong case. He might take this battle. And,
Devin certainly found something here as the white flag waves. Cart 11 has Devin there. Green helmet coming through turn 1. Nice tight line into turn 2. Very controlled. No back end sliding there. The other competitors coming across the white flag now. I don't believe anyone is going to improve on their times. They may have given it everything they had already.
We may have just seen our number 1 seed of this playoffs get knocked out, pending confirmation. But
we'll have to see who shows up for the next race of this part of the bracket.
Very impressive run for Devin.
Folks, I'm going to leave you now. The world's fastest commentator, Rubik's Pilot, is back and ready for the seat. Here he is.
All right, everybody. Thank you for holding off on me. I hope Patrick did a pretty good job. I know he did a good job because he is Patrick Ferrone.
How was the track out there, Ryan?
Very sticky. The first time that I was out there for our practice, that new section was very understeery. The cart would not like to turn in. First time I went through there, I was genuinely surprised by just how much that cart can whip around that corner. If you look at it, it is basically a 180, and it's even sharper than the hairpin. And the fact that the cart had that much grip while we were out there was astonishing. So it's definitely grippy out there. It is extremely hot, and it's definitely nice to be back in this commentator booth with the nice AC.
Nice cool air, I imagine. Now, we noticed something interesting as we see our heavy hitter race, as we have dubbed it, go out for their second run. So Cheshire Cat did not have an opponent because her opponent, Joe, did not show up. It was essentially a free practice run, but were you aware that the winner between you and who was your opponent there?
Chris Jr. was my opponent.
The winner between you two will actually be going against Bessie, so it's almost like a scouting report race for her to face whoever wins between you guys.
That is very interesting. I was not actually aware of that, but thank you for bringing that to my attention there. I would have looked at the bracket anyway, but you know, we'll see. I was definitely looking at her times to see if I would have ended up in front. However, I did end up in front on fastest lap time, and I barely beat her out on the average without the 2 drops. I had an average of, I believe, a 3.12. She had a 3.20. So
very impressive runs from both of you, for sure.
It's definitely going to be a close one there. As Renegade already with a 3.84 out there. Scooter Stew with that 3.36. Wags can only set a 5. And Roadrunner just absolutely tearing it up out there.
He just makes it look easy sometimes.
First lap out on the track is a 1.63. Now that is something. Those tires have had a lot of cycles through them, but it's nothing compared to whenever Roadrunner gets into it. We'll see what his second lap is here. He does not improve, only goes a 2.73, so that first lap was quite good for him, bringing up his average to a 2.18. We got Scooter Stew at a 3.36. Last lap was a 3.70 as Renegade actually gets down into the ones. 22.195. Renegade also a former employee.
So this is very interesting here because if you remember, Renegade was for a while in the last race in 4th, ended up I believe jumping to 3rd. Him going up against Scooter Stew, one of the best ones here. Matt is really looking to redeem himself from how close he got last year. And all of the work he's been putting in leading up to this playoffs, I think he needs to put something special together here if he's going to get by Scooter Stew.
He definitely does need to put something special together, and he looks like he is cooking up just that with a 22.164 with his average without drops going to a 3.08. I think our hero today, that's going to be Roadrunner. fastest lap time, 22.114, fastest one we have seen tonight. Average is in the ones.
Unbelievable.
With the 2 drops, his average is in the ones. It is still in the ones even after he set a 2.47, which is still faster than Scooter Stu down in 3rd, who had just won this previous league. And we got Renegade in P2. And unfortunately, it looks like Wags is way down in P4 with that 22.512. Who is Wags' competitor once again?
Wags is going head-to-head against our dominating first-place driver, Roadrunner, right now.
All right, well, by the looks of things, our AEKC 2020 champion is for our 3RK. I don't want to get confused with the entire $10,000 grand prize. But for 3RK, our 2020 champion, looks like he will be eliminated in his first running here on this track. Just doesn't seem to suit him out there, does it?
It's it could, you wonder. It could be a lot of different things. It could be this new track coming out. Just the simple fact that it's been quite some time since he's been out here. When I first came into this league, he was here every week, multiple times a week, just setting track records, proving that he was the legend of the place at the time. But just the young talent coming up right now is just incredible, and it's incredible to watch.
Speaking of young talent, Roadrunner just set a 22.105. So he has a 1.14, a 1.05, a 1.6, just absolutely tearing it up. Go to 1.7 there, bringing his average down to a 1.96 as he is about ready to set his last lap. He actually just lapped Wags. So that is something that we didn't expect to say today. Wags has been lapped by Roadrunner.
I would say that if you're lapping your head-to-head competitor, there's a good chance you've probably won that match.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Roadrunner's average with the drops, a 1.97. Now that is something impressive.
Renegade does finish above Stu also in terms of best lap time, so can't wait till we get word on who actually won that battle between Renegade and Roadrunner. That could be closer than we think.
That can be close. All right, now we're going to welcome Patrick Ferrone back into the booth as I have to go and do my round 2 runs. In round 2 here at the AEKC, go and welcome Patrick Ferrone back to the booth.
Good luck to you again, Ryan.
Here I am, folks, back with you once again. Patrick Ferrone commentating at the AEKC Three Rivers 3RK Performance Park Championship. As Carson behind the computers gives me a scowl, I haven't been here in a while.
It has been a while since I've seen you, Patrick. How have you been?
I haven't been so bad. I've been taking care of some things at home. It's good to be back here at the track, even if it is from this commentary booth. I will tell you, I was a little late arriving today. I checked 3 different post offices for my invitation to compete today. They said it didn't turn up. I'm still getting to the bottom of that. I think I should have been in this bracket and give a couple of these youngsters what for.
Well, hey, at least you get to watch some of these incredible guys go at it and tell everybody that's watching, just really put into perspective what these guys are doing. It's great to have you up here, Patrick.
It's good to be here. So we're awaiting our first lap as the green flag flies. We got our 4 competitors. It looks like Ender Beast. It looks like we have, I forget his name, with the James Hunt inspired hat. Rat Miata. That's it, wearing that James Hunt inspired helmet, one of his racing idols, Formula 1 legend. We're waiting for the scoreboard to update here. We will see who is doing what. We have Ender Beast setting the tone with a 22.258 out of the gate. Coming up next is Rat Miata with a 22.655, not his best effort. Simon with a 22.736. And Tripod with a 22.281. So we have 2 competitors in the .2s. The other 2, Rat Miata and Simon, trying to get a grip on their carts, 14 and 5 respectively.
Your head-to-head matchups again, we remind you. Ender Beast against Tripod, Rat Miata against Simon. Ender Beast struggled for a little while up there, started to find her rhythm, and now up on the top of the leaderboard above Tripod, who is our number 2 seed here. Do you think she might have found enough to come out here with the upset in the second round?
Well, I tell you what, if one of these drivers gets hot, it could be all over. When one of these drivers has a good day, it shows in their lap times, in their composition in the cart. And Ender Beast right now is looking very confident in that cart as they head through the kink. Right, left, hang that left, sharp right, and the full speed 90-degree turn onto the main straight. Let's see who else we have here. Number 14, that's Rat Miata coming across the line. Finds himself down at the bottom of the scoreboard right now. Not where he is used to being at all, as Simon finds some pace in the kart at a 22.405. I keep wanting to tell myself to remind the crowd not to sleep on any of these drivers, but then again, that's the championships. That's why we're here. Every single one of these drivers, it would not surprise me to see them at the top of the board today.
I'd love to see the fight also, as we saw in that first race here of this round. Simon struggled a little bit as well, but I mean, if you look up on that scoreboard and you see your name above Rat Miata on there, that's got to be at least a bit of a confidence boost. Maybe he can put something together here.
It would be a huge confidence boost for me, I can tell you that. I did take a moment to step outside when Brian Black, Rubik's pilot, returned to the booth. I will tell you, the atmosphere around the track is hot in more ways than one. Plenty of drivers finding themselves in small circles talking about what they can do to move on. And I will say that the temperature out there, the karts are heating this place up. It is warm, it is muggy. The heat that they are laying down into this track, we worry about the karts first, the drivers second. It is heating up out there, and I'm kind of wondering when exhaustion is going to take hold. Remember, these drivers moving on, you have more racing ahead of you. It is going to be a long night for them.
It's a battle of stamina. I will say, if you plan to go deep into a run here in the playoffs and you didn't bring any Icy Hot with you, you could be in some trouble.
It is going to be a good day for Icy Hot. We are not sponsored, but I do recommend it if you're going to attempt something like this. Let's see, Rat Miata not improving, still stuck at a 22.5 as the white flag waves. Car 2 Ender Beast with a 22.258 is the first to take the white flag, I believe. Followed by Rat Miata, still finding it hard. He's very close to his best lap time, but not improving, as I believe Simon and Tripod take the white flag next. No real improvements. It looks like these drivers set their best laps early and kind of coasted it out. I wonder if any of them think that they have what they need secure and they're just taking it easy for the rest of the race to save on their stamina.
It's very interesting, really kind of flipping the script here in a way that me personally, I didn't exactly expect. I'm not going to throw names out there who I think might have won it. We'll just have to wait and see, but...
we have to see who shows up in the next round.
Exactly. And you mentioned the warmth, too. That's actually something Ryan brought up when he came back up here.
He looked exhausted.
He was indeed exhausted, but he also mentioned that track out there is actually hot. It is muggy. And he said that the grip level on that track is surprisingly very, very high. Would you expect that?
You know, I do, but here's the thing. These drivers are so precise. I'm not surprised that they are laying down the rubber tonight and getting the track rubbered in. What I am going to wait for is if someone finds themselves offline for just a moment. These drivers are so skilled and so precise that they put the rubber down on the exact racing line. If you find yourself a quarter of an inch shy from that line, you might be in for, we could see a spin out from one of these drivers, as good as they are.
That would be certainly something to see. And when you have a track that's almost brand new, and before tonight, a lot of these guys have never driven on this track. So
it's worth mentioning, speaking when you say they've never driven on this track, the kink in the back that we've added just for this championship, that is going to be raw concrete. It hasn't had a chance to be rubbered in on the line, the correct line to take, which gives you the fastest speed through there. That's basically a world of difference compared to the rest of the track that gets run on through day-to-day operations. So don't forget that you can have a good confidence 80% of this lap, head into that kink and get really upset by a moment of looseness from the rear tires. So here we go, the second session of these three instead of four, as Cheshire Cat, Bessie Chase, gets the bye. Again, she might be out there taking it easy, just getting an eye on her competition with one of these two drivers. Chris Jr. or the Rubik's pilot, world's fastest commentator, will be her opponent, whichever one moves on. I believe Rubik's pilot had the edge over Chris Jr. in the first session. I have reason to believe if we see Rubik's pilot's name above Chris Jr. again this session, that should be wraps for Chris Jr., unfortunately. 9 laps to go here. Let's see who sets what on their opening lap. Cheshire Cat, with no opponent, is not taking it easy as she tops the leaderboards. This could be to get into their heads. Whichever one of these two drivers moves on, hey, I'm already ahead of you anyways, so to say. Rubik's pilot with a 22.373, Chris Jr. with a 22.518. as Rubik's Pilot goes to the top of the board with a 22.166. That might be even faster than last time.
It is his personal best so far.
Remember, folks, he came back to the broadcast booth for more commentary. He's in good shape, good stamina, but he did mention just how tiring the track is out there today, and that was 10 laps. He's got 7 more to go here, and if he wins, guess what his reward is? More laps. It's going to be quite a feat of endurance to whoever makes it to the end of this bracket.
Yes, he is an athlete too. He's a swimmer, and if you know anything about swimmers, that takes an incredible amount of stamina. That could really swing his way, really help him out.
I tried competitive swimming once. I was told I was better at sinking. I should try out for the rowing team as the anchor with a chain attached to me. So, 22.166 is Rubik's Pilot's time so far. Cheshire Cat, 22.232. Chris Jr. really needs to step it up at 22.341. That time is nothing to scoff at, but he's going to need a little bit more if he wants to move on. I believe Rubik's Pilot is going to hold him off here if something doesn't change, as Rubik's Pilot sends in yet another fast lap as he heads back into turn 3. Here comes Chris Jr. Has he set a better time? No. 22.341 stands.
That's the thing about these playoffs, too. You see a driver like Chris Jr., he has obviously got the skill, the talent. But
unbeatable on a good day.
Exactly, and he draws a tough opponent. We only get to watch him in one round. Well, most likely only one round tonight. It's a shame, but that's what the playoffs bring you. You really got to make the most of your opportunity. Happy he's in here. Really giving it everything he has, though. You can be sure of that.
I'm trying to see if Cheshire Cat is taking a look at her opponents as she drives the course. It looks like she's focusing on her own race, trying to get a handle of the cart, trying to get a handle of the track. It looks like Chris Jr. is trying his best. He's focused. He's rolling his head through the turns to kind of sight in the apex as he rounds each corner. Rubik's Pilot is not letting up, but no one seems to be improving with 3 laps to go.
With a solid... Now, I'm not going to do math off the top of my head because that is not my strong suit. But,
please don't ask me to do it either.
But with a 22.166 best lap time, 22.3s average for the Rubik's Pilot, and a 22.421 it looks like for Chris Jr. I think Ryan does have this one locked up as the white flag comes out, but you just got to give kudos to a guy like Chris Jr. here. A 22.341 is nothing to scoff at.
Nothing to scoff at. I have raced many a time at this track, and let me tell you, when I watch racing at home, everyone always asks, what does this mean? Could I do that? How far would the average Joe be off that time? I think I could probably bang in a 24-second lap. I'm telling you, these drivers are unbelievably fast. Any lap time you see on that board is quite an accomplishment.
Look at this. Cheshire Cat on the very last
lap. Unbelievable.
Holy
Cheshire
cow.
Cat letting Rubik's Pilot know if she sees him in the next round, it is not going to be easy. With a 22.132 at the end, you have to believe that's mind games.
That's just mind games, and that is being locked in. She is one of the more locked in drivers that I've seen race here. She's not taking this chance for granted. That's incredible. On the last lap.
You say she's normally a very locked-in driver. You have to wonder, was she sandbagging the 9 laps with no opponent and then threw that in at the end? If so, the confidence to save that for the very last moment to light the scoreboard up right as the race concludes.
Yes, that could be the case. I think it's just a case of she's a quick learner. I think she's just really
incredibly quick learner.
Finding a feel for this track, and she could be putting Ryan in some real danger here. But as our co-commentator, I don't want to put any kind of thoughts like that into his head. We're just going to wish him the best.
Oh, we wish him the absolute best.
It's going to be a great battle, though.
Absolutely. Looks like we are loading up Devin, Condor, Renegade, and Roadrunner. So Renegade and Roadrunner are our 2 that moved on from that heat involving, correct me if I'm wrong, we had Wags and Scooter Stew.
It was Wags against Dean, actually. Wags versus Roadrunner. Which obviously we saw Roadrunner just dominated that first round. If Wags couldn't take him down, I don't think anybody could have taken him down in that first round. Just dominant.
And you keep saying first round, and that's right. I cannot believe that we are now looking at a tournament bracket that does not have Scooter Stew or Wags' names on it any longer.
That is it. Scooter Stew, I had a lot of I don't like to predict winners, but I saw Scooter Stew going deep into this playoffs here. He just came back. He was away from the track for a while. Came back for the last couple of leagues and really in all senses of the word, dominated those leagues. And
Let me tell you, if he was away on vacation when he was not in our leagues, he was somewhere where there was a lot of kart racing to be done because he was sharp upon return. He lost nothing. I believe I was running the league when he came back. He was a week 3 fill-in to get himself back into the league. He was going to take over after the league had already started, and I believe he ended up winning that night his first time back.
he jumped right back into it. Nothing was lost.
Unbelievable.
Now, as you mentioned, we have no more Wags and no more Scooter Stew. We also see that Condor is out in this race, meaning Condor advanced from the last round, beating E2. And
As did Devin.
Devin beat out our number 1 seeded Homer. And
Really?
Yes.
Homer is out of the bracket.
Homer is out, but
A day of upsets. Unbelievable.
Devin, he's a youngster. He just came out of the junior league not too long ago, but he could go deep in this playoffs. This could be very interesting. He's a very good driver, really kind of a quiet to himself. He really studies, soaks it up. He knows what he's doing out there, and he proves it by knocking out our 1 seed.
A driver to be feared for sure. Let's run down the scoreboard. We have Roadrunner in the lead with a 22.228. Renegade with a 22.320. Condor going down to the bottom of 22.424 as Devin, who we just spoke of, runs 22.390. Let's follow along with Roadrunner in kart 18. He's coming down the main straight now, past the flag stand. Hard on the brakes, as hard as you can get. To the left, right, left into turn 3, hugging that inside wall. There's got to be a millimeter of space between the kart and the wall. He's very good, very composed at getting around this track as efficiently as possible. Through the kink, the long left into a sharp right, and then this 90-degree snap, full speed back through the flag stand. I can barely keep up with him as he sets a 22.27, I believe, on that lap. Again, he's known for his average lap time being incredible. Watch for him to be maybe 1/10 away of his average compared to his best lap time.
Well, I will say this, looking up at that board, it's 22.228 on Roadrunner's name. I'm a bit surprised. That seems kind of high for Roadrunner.
You think so?
Well, if you look, he is in kart 18 right now, and I believe, as you said, kart 18 is one of those karts that's not the greatest, but he's still in first, though. But think of this, though, as Renegade just jumps up to the top spot there.
22.205.
Renegade.
Looks like we could break into the 22.1s here very quickly.
Now, Renegade and Roadrunner, those are the 2 guys that I would have envisioned being our top 2 guys if they could have ended up meeting up in the finals. That's what I would have predicted. But here they are in the 3rd round. These are the 2 of the best, arguably the 2 best in the field right now, going head-to-head. One of them is not going to make it to the 4th round.
Are they going against each other?
It is Renegade versus Roadrunner right now.
Unbelievable.
And Devin versus Condor, the 2 guys that came out of the 1st round.
How many total drivers do we have in this bracket?
So there are 20 spots on the bracket. 19 competitors did show up. The only exception was Joe, who was Chet's higher cat's opponent, as we know.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. With 18 drivers, there's going to be 19, you said?
19 drivers.
19 drivers, there's going to be 18 upsets here tonight because every single one of these drivers absolutely has a chance to take this home. It is just incredible to see who's going against who and who's going home early. Renegade, 22.205, not improving as the white flag drops. He takes the white flag. Roadrunner with a 22.228. Devin with a 22.260 getting up there with Roadrunner and Renegade. As Condor, 22.360, trying to find a little bit left in the tank as the checkered flag waves.
So, now as we look at this, obviously, the winners of these 2 matchups here, Renegade versus Roadrunner and Devin versus Condor, the winner of these 2 matchups will face each other in the semifinals. Renegade, I think Renegade may have taken that 2nd round, and how close he actually got to getting knocked out, and that must have lit a fire under him because he knows. He said, I have to do this. He finishes at top above Roadrunner. This is the highest caliber competition.
Absolutely. I tell you what, it's always going to be a surprise to see who loads up into a kart next, to see who moved on and who got knocked out. Every single one of these drivers, impossible to hold a candle to from your everyday driver. These people have specialized their craft here at 3RK. If I had a chance, I'd go out there and run a lap to show you It's not pretty, folks. These folks driving these carts, unbelievable at what they do, every single one of them.
Well, and I'll tell you what, for all the viewers at home too, this is not a private, building here. You can come out here. You can race in these exact same carts. You will start on adult speed, but if you hit that pro speed time and you get bumped to pro speed, you are racing in these same carts as these same competitors on that same track, and you can really experience what these guys are doing.
And a reminder, that kink is only for this tournament.
Yes,
We're
of
going to
course.
remove that at the end of the night, and I bet you will not like to see the difference in your times, even without that kink, being able to just hold full throttle through there. It's still not going to help you that much compared to how fast these folks get through. It looks like we might have a break in the action here. The track team is taking care of the carts. It looks like we're taking a moment before we load up the next racers. I think this might be a good time to go to a commercial. Folks, I'd like to welcome you back to the AEKC 3RK Entertainment Park Championship. Just a quick reminder, we are hiring full and part-time positions. If you'd like to find yourself among our employ here, it's a great place to work. We're hiring cooks and track team officials. So, if you think you could find yourselves working here, getting close to the track, please drop us a line. Right now we're loading up Cheshire Cat and the Rubik's Pilot. It's going to be a battle of the fan favorites. Cheshire Cat getting a lot of love on the chat. Rubik's Pilot, our beloved commentator Ryan, going head to head in this the first round of this matchup. What round of the brackets are we in?
Well, I'll tell you what, Patrick, we are currently in round 3. This also qualifies as the quarterfinals. We are down to our last 8
Last
drivers.
8 drivers total. Incredible. So Cheshire Cat against Rubik's Pilot, Rat Miata against Ender Beast 72 RIP, the full name there. It is going to be a tough race between both competitors on both races here. Cheshire Cat and Rubik's Pilot again, battle of the fan favorites. Let's see what the lap times are set when they come down the pipe for the first time as the green flag drops. Through goes Bessie Chase, the black helmet, white t-shirt there, followed shortly by her competitor, Rubik's Pilot, Ryan, our commentator, with the black shirt and fancy helmet, followed by the James Hunt-inspired helmet of Rat Miata, and there goes Ender Beast in that shiny blue helmet with blue t-shirt. Got a chance to see Ender Beast's t-shirt. Her t-shirt says, "Is my go-kart okay?" written upside down. Had a moment to laugh about that here up in the booth.
I tell you, this matchup right here, this race has a lot of intrigue in it. Because if you look at the drivers in this, the Rubik's Pilot against Cheshire Cat, as we saw in that last race where Cheshire Cat did not have a competitor, she came out on that very last lap and just took the best lap time.
That very last lap, sending a message as she goes to the top of the leaderboard with a 22.317. You can see already that short commercial break we had, the lap times have dropped by 1/10.5. That is how critical all the situations here, every bit of circumstances are. Cheshire Cat 22.317, Rubik's Pilot 0.322. I was about to say how close that is before Cheshire Cat responded with an even faster time of 0.287. Rubik's Pilot responds again, 0.301. Ender Beast 72 RIP moves to the bottom of the scoreboard as Rat Miata goes to 22.310. The scoreboard is changing faster than the carts are moving. I can barely keep up.
Oh, those red and green up and down arrows are just popping up like strobe lights. This is back and forth if I have ever seen it.
Cheshire Cat with a 22.126. Is that one of the fastest times we've seen tonight? I believe so.
Absolutely. I cannot say with confirmation, but that's a top 5. That is a top 5 fastest of the night.
Unbelievable. She's in the number 2 cart. I don't believe that's her favorite, but she's wrangling it around the track regardless. Very smooth through the first set of turns, through turn 2, deep into turn 3. Oh, looks like it may have gotten away from her just a little bit, but she's maintained her composure through the hairpin. Rubik's Pilot entering, still at 22.296, seeing if he can get anything more out of that cart 14. Remember, these carts perform mostly the same. They are all quite matched to each other, but after a little bit of time, they all set up just a little bit different. Just like humans, they have their own little quirks, what makes them special, and these drivers only have 10 laps at a time to figure out how best to work with them.
The cart number 2 that Cheshire Cat is in right now, that was for a long time one of the fan favorites. That was the cart that held a lot of the track records out here. But you have to keep in mind that after this race here, we're going to go back out for another 10-lap race, and this time Rubik's Pilot's going to be in that 2 cart. So this will be interesting to see after the swap.
Do you want to take any bets on the lap time there?
No.
Do you think Rubik's Pilot could land a 22.0 in cart 2?
You know,
I do believe he favors cart 2.
I would not put anything past me on a day like today, all the stuff that we have seen.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lap time drop into the 21s with these competitors.
No.
As the white flag drops, Rat Miata and Ender Beast about less than 0.02 away from each other. Unbelievable. Rat Miata with a 0.303, Ender Beast with a 0.320. Any chance?
There it is.
Cheshire Cat with a
unbelievable.
22.059 with 1 lap left. Rubik's Pilot may be in trouble. We're going to have to see how this battle unfolds in their next session when they swap carts. This is heating up between these two, our fan favorites so far that we've discovered tonight. Rat Miata and Ender Beast are going to end there with their best lap times being .02 away from each other. The storylines are emerging here. Unbelievable.
This is incredible to watch. And then, you know, you did bring it up in that earlier race, not having any competition in the second round. That stirs controversy. I don't think that's going to stir controversy.
I don't think it should.
But I think it stands to reason that extra practice, not having competition, definitely, I think, helped being able to race without having any pressure, saying, all right, this is my chance to feel the track. Let me see what these guys are doing. I'm not racing them, but...
And again, we saw her maybe weaponize that free time on track to send an absolutely demoralizing lap when she was watching her two competitors. Now, our beloved commentator, Ryan, might be in a bit of trouble. We'll have to see how he responds in the next session. I have no doubts about him, but Bessie is setting the mark incredibly high.
This is shaping up to be one of the better playoffs we've had in quite a while. I'm excited.
I'm very excited. We move on to Devin, Renegade, Roadrunner, and Condor. Again, Devin and Condor. Devin, what do we know about Devin?
So, Devin, he's a youngster coming out. He was in the junior league not too long ago.
That's right.
Just moved up. He's currently sitting at our lowest seed right now, our 19th seed. But that is because he's only done one of the 3 leagues, finishing 4th place in the fall league. He's a quick little guy though, and his name is going to be well known here soon, and he's proving that tonight.
So the storylines here: Devin just moving up with the adults, Condor a newcomer to the 3RK facility, and then the other 2 drivers on track, big names. Their names echo through the hall at all times. We've got Renegade, who is on a good day unbeatable. If you start second, he's starting on pole. You will not see him again the rest of the race. And then we have Dean, aka Roadrunner, a absolute masterpiece driver. If you watch along here, it looks like he's in the 20 cart. You will not see a smoother driver. You could put on some soft jazz music. He doesn't get any seesawing through the steering wheel. Everything is 100% perfect and ideal. No more fat to trim. We'll see where they go. Roadrunner sets a 22.194. Looks like Renegade with a 22.332, Devin 22.472, and Condor with a 22.7 to open us up. It looks like Condor might be having some trouble figuring out Kart 8. As I say that, he goes a tenth a lap faster.
And you gotta think that Renegade, he has in the back of his head what happened to him last playoffs. He does not want to go through coming so close again. The only difficulty here is he has to take down one of the best to get there. And
he's going up against...
That's Roadrunner.
Going up against Roadrunner.
This is a championship caliber matchup in round 3.
In round 3. It is unbelievable just how fast the community has grown here. I feel like the battles we've had in the first 2 rounds, now that we're in round 3, we're finals level competition. Absolutely. Years prior. Every name I see gets struck from the list, I get taken aback. I cannot believe to see. It's got to happen. As I said, 19 drivers, 18 of them are going to be upset tonight, and it's hard to believe each and every one when they get taken off the list. Condor with 22.611 looks like he's running out of time to figure out how to harness the energy coming from Kart 8. Roadrunner hitting that 22.101, topping the leaderboard, making sure he keeps a good distance away from Renegade.
Renegade did get part 1 of the job done by finishing higher up on that leaderboard than Roadrunner in the first race. He's got a pretty decent gap in terms of best lap time, 22.101. That's more like the Roadrunner that we know.
So with Renegade being faster in the first session, we are going to have to come down to the calculators and the mathematics to figure out who we're going to see on the other side of this thing. With Devin and Condor finally getting something to work right in that 8 cart. Maybe he's about to accelerate throughout this entire thing. 22.420. He's making his way through the track. It looks like, as I look out to the track, Devin in Kart 11, regardless of his lap times, look like he might be backing up into Roadrunner a little bit, who's our session leader. They have a good amount of space. There's 3 laps left. It shouldn't be an issue. But one wrong move by Devin, and we might see Roadrunner get interfered with here, and he'll have to wait a lap for the blue flag to get by. This could get interesting here. More interesting than it already is.
As a driver that's done a lot of racing with Roadrunner, in that endurance race that I was in a while ago, and just being in the league with him, he is incredibly fast and consistent, but when he gets into traffic, that if he has any sort of weak spots in his game, it would be driving in traffic. Will it be enough?
The white flag comes out. Renegade looks like he has half of the track to himself to burn away that average time against Roadrunner. I cannot tell you for sure which one of these two we're going to see come out the other side. As Devin and Condor, less than a second between them, it looks like. We're going to have to find out who comes to the other side. As the checkered flag comes out, it looks like the first to take it is going to be Condor, followed by Devin, followed by... That's Roadrunner there, and Renegade getting that last lap in, the entire track to himself as the other three backed into each other.
Then Devin, as you see here, the very last lap, he jumped to second on the leaderboard there.
I did not notice that. A 22.304 taking me by surprise into second place. That could be curtains for Condor. I hope not, but then again, I'd say that about any competitor tonight. My goodness.
I will say about Condor too. Yeah, I believe this is his first playoffs. He's participated in one full league and a partial league. He's very new to this. You will see Condor's name again in these playoffs. That you can be sure of.
I don't disbelieve that for sure. Condor, big Formula One fan. I've had a lot of good interactions with him, gotten to know him. The guy lives and breathes racing. This is a big deal to him. He's going to master this craft. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him made it through to the next round. I didn't keep an eye and remember where he was in their last session of these two. But I would not be surprised if he makes it through to the other side. I would not be surprised if he's in the finals this time around next year.
Another one of those guys that I remember one of his first times coming in. I talked to him. I helped him get a feel for the track a little bit, kind of show him some of the ropes here. Just another example of watching one of these guys just grow right in front of us into an incredible racer.
The mood of the drivers exiting the track does look a bit jovial, looks maybe... Condor throwing his hands up as if to say, I did what I did, we'll see where that lands me. Roadrunner getting some fist bumps. He may be confident that he's moving through, as the other four drivers seem to be taking a little bit of time here before getting ready. We might want to run it to a commercial if possible. And we are back with more live action here. The AEKC 3RK Entertainment Park Championships here. Cheshire Cat, Rubik's Pilot, Rat Miata, Ender Beast 72 RIP. 2 of these drivers are going to move on through the bracket. The other 2 are going home. All 4 of them deserve to make it through. Only 2 of them get to. Thus is the story of the racing bracket. We already, looks like, was that Kart 5 out there? Ender Beast a bit shaky down the straight. We might have to keep an eye on that as the green flag waves.
That is a lot of shake, yes.
Kart 2, our beloved commentator Ryan, one of the fan favorites, trying to best Bessie Chase, Cheshire Cat, now in the number 14 cart. They have swapped carts as we do between the 2 sessions, and we're going to see if Rubik's Pilot can respond to the lap time, the unbelievable 22.0 that Cheshire Cat set down last lap.
Which was our fastest lap of the day, by the way.
It was confirmed our fastest lap as far as we know. Rubik's Pilot, if he can pull this off, unfortunately, folks, you will have to hear a lot more of me throughout the night as we are getting down to the bottom of our bracket, and the racing for the competitors will be much more often. Not a long break in between races anymore, as there are so few competitors left. Rubik's Pilot sets the board with a 22.238, Rat Miata in second with a .438, Ender Beast with a .449, and Cheshire Cat with a .478. Very, very tidy times for the past. And Cheshire Cat goes to the top of the board with a 22.220. Rubik's Pilot, 0.02 of a second behind. Rat Miata, .260. Ender Beast, 72 RIP, .344. We are going to watch Cheshire Cat and Rubik's Pilot closely. What a battle. 0.02 of a second. Let's watch Bessie go hard on the brakes. Through turn 1, into turn 2, very tidy, very controlled, very calm and concerned. Coming into the hairpin here. Doesn't take too much of the left side wall as some of the other drivers. That could be playing into her advantage, as we see Ender Beast there takes a good bit of the wall. The 4 cart takes a lot of the wall there. Rat Miata and the James Hunt inspired helmet that I love so much. I will continue to remind you as I see it, because every time I see it, it's quite a delight. I believe he made it himself.
Did he?
I believe it's his actual name, done in the style that James Hunt had on his helmet. That's a little bit of F1 trivia there for you. 6 laps to go. No time. Rubik's Pilot goes up by 1,000th. This is unprecedented, but he's going to have to find a lot more in the tank to beat Cheshire Cat's average from last session. If this were a heads-up battle, this would be unbelievable, but the horror of knowing you are 1,000th of a second away, there we go. .052, finally answering back to the .0 Cheshire Cat set last session. I was going to say the horror of knowing you are that close to your competitor, but it's the average time. He's got to beat the average time she set last session. The 1,000th of a second is not going to be enough, and he finally responds with the .052.
And your 2 worst laps are also getting dropped off. So,
I forgot all about that.
Absolutely, yes. So, and this is one of the greatest battles of the night here, and one of the most impressive runs we've seen. But this battle between Rat Miata and Ender Beast still needs some attention here. They've been back and forth, up and down, all over the board.
And they are .04 away from each other. Again, about what? The duration of a sneeze, a duration of a heartbeat.
Exactly, yes.
I mean, the battles on track tonight are incredibly close. This is fantastic, and we're in round 3.
This is round 3, and the winners of these matchups are going to the semifinals of these playoffs, as a white flag is coming out.
White flag comes out. It looks like Rubik's Pilot is maybe not going to improve on the 22.052. He's got his head down. Through turn 1, through turn 2, they come so fast. Into turn 3, as close to that barrier as he can get, swings out a little bit, takes a very little of the left wall. Looks like he's replicating a little bit of the Bessie Chase line, what Cheshire Cat was doing in that same cart. He's coming through around the timing loop to take the checkered flag. Does he improve on his best time?
Not quite.
He does not. 0.2 seconds away from his best time. Cheshire Cat 22.220. Rat Miata 22.258, and Ender Beast 22.297. Unbelievable drives from all 4 of these competitors. I'm going to be absolutely surprised to see who made it through to the next round.
Yes, I was gonna say we should send a messenger down there. Not only who won, but I want to know the gap between those 2, because oh my goodness.
Put that in the ideas bin for next year. We need somebody down there with a microphone getting this information. I can't take it being up here waiting to see who comes through next.
Oh, it's incredible.
My heart can't take it. I need to know who made it through.
This has really become the story of the night, huh? It looks like we have a semifinals matchup just revealed on the board here.
The track is going to be home to only 2 drivers now in these next rounds.
So
We do not have enough drivers to field 4. It is going to be heads-up drag racing between 2 competitors launched on separate ends of the track, 1v1, to see who moves on. Devin and Roadrunner is going to be our first matchup. You can see the pro skill there. That is accumulated throughout the year if you have that on the screen. Roadrunner sitting at a 2,929. Devin with 1,606. Shows that you accumulate pro skill based on how many laps you've turned, who you've beat, how high up the order you came when you finished. Does that mean anything for Devin here? Again, he's young, he's up and coming. Could we see an upset of Roadrunner?
Well, so 2,900 pro skill, that's an incredible number. That just shows you how dominant he is when he races. Devin, coming out of the junior league, jumping into the adult league, you're still coming out of the junior league not as experienced. You're not going to go out and win every adult league race.
You're not as experienced,
Yes.
but do you think there's any tricks he might have up his sleeve that a veteran is not ready to handle?
Well, I don't know about tricks. When you're talking about a guy like Roadrunner, I don't know what kind of tricks you can pull, but what I will say is he's made it to the semifinals, and he beat some pretty good drivers to get here. It's a confidence boost at least to know that you're in the semifinals against one of the best racers.
I am looking down right now at where the scoreboard is listed, and it does look like Bessie is getting a lot more fist bumps. Cheshire Cat is getting a few more fist bumps than
done
Rubik's
it?
Pilot. I don't know if those are congratulatory fist bumps or if those are better luck next year fist bumps. We're going to see here.
I think she did it, Patrick.
I think she may have pulled off one of our many upsets of the night.
This is. Oh, she looks pretty.
This is.
And we've just received confirmation.
Oh, the Rubik's Pilot has been defeated by Cheshire Cat.
What a performance.
Cheshire Cat, who first graced this building sometime around this time last year,
Yes.
came through these doors, said, I want to be a professional racing driver.
She
I
did.
don't know what I want to do. I haven't looked into NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One. All I know is I got to get myself behind the wheel. And look at her go, moving on into round 4.
Now, I watch a lot of racing as a racer fan. I watch IMSA. I watch NASCAR. I watch our karting here. And I got to tell you, of all racing, this has been a story. This has been an incredible thing to watch. I mean, almost don't even know what to say.
I'm lost for words. It looks like we are being visited by Tripod. No, we're not being visited by Tripod. I'm mistaken. There is no one else in this building besides us two and Carson.
Maybe I'm soaking up some air.
Would you like to do an impromptu interview?
Maybe?
Yeah,
sure, why not?
All right. Let me see if I can't swing this around any bit.
It works great because we're live now.
Really?
Yes, sir.
We are live.
Crash the party.
No, this is great. This is great. Why don't you just step on over here?
Alright.
This is Ryan's doing, so if we have to swivel the microphone around. So, Tripod, how did you do out there?
Awful. I
Awful?
did terrible.
I wouldn't say that. Which round did you make it to?
I had a bye into the second round, and then Reiner, Enderbeast. She's just a better driver tonight. She's faster.
It happens. The pendulum swings on this racetrack. Certain drivers hook up. Certain drivers have a little trouble finding the pace. Any surprises out there for you?
Cheshire. Bessie is she's mentally sharp tonight. She's driving great. Her family's here. It's awesome to see.
It's
really
very good
cool.
to see.
Yeah.
This young talent out here
It's
is crazy. It's
it
crazy.
really is. It's so cool for the sport.
Do you think we're finally in that time where the new generation is starting to make their presence known?
I'll tell you what, dude. Several weeks ago, probably now, I was at Pit Race, and Formula SAE was up there prepping for a race for that weekend. You want to talk about legit stuff. Those kids, they're using 600cc sport bike motors, proper tube chassis. They have, dude, these cars will blow your mind for college kids.
Really?
Yes.
So the sport is in good hands now.
It was so refreshing to see these young people so passionate about building cars and racing them.
Very cool.
proper race cars. It was really cool.
And you know what? You say building. Building is a fun aspect too, because sometimes driving is just about getting in the car and being fortunate enough to get in the car. It's cool to
Yes.
see that there's ways of building it yourself and not having to get lucky. If you have the skills and the ingenuity to build something, you can get out there.
And the budget of Carnegie Mellon.
That too.
Like RIT, like big money schools. That, a lot of money never hurts.
So speaking about Cheshire Cat, the fact that she knocked down our beloved commentator Rubik's Pilot means my time might be numbered, as we're joined by more racing talent in the booth. Condor,
What's up, fam?
how do you feel about your performance tonight?
Dude, I was a 17 seed and I made it to the third round. You can't beat
Congratulations.
Great run.
Do you want to hop into the microphone here for a second? We are live.
We are live. We
We are
got a
we are-
party in
that.
here.
Oh, what's up? What's up?
We are getting a little bit tight in this makeshift booth we've formed for ourselves as Condor joins us. Condor, how did you feel?
Dude, for like 3 rounds I was pissing excellence, and then all of a sudden I ran into a steamroller.
We apologize for any fruity language, as they would say on the Formula One channel. Who happened to knock you out?
I lost to Devin.
Devin. Again, don't
It's a
sleep on
great-
Devin.
yeah, great young
Dude,
talent.
I had no idea who he was until he came in here tonight, and then went from like middle of the pack in his warm up to he's right in here. In the final 4 with a chance to maybe be in the finals.
Yeah,
Pretty crazy.
Yes, quick confirmation. That is Rat Miata in the final, just beating out Enderby. So Rat Miata versus Cheshire Cat. That's the semifinal.
Listen, Rat Miata has one of those driver mentalities. There's no room for sandbagging in a competition like this, but has Rat Miata found it? He's not been blowing up the scoreboard like you would expect. Not like we know he can do it. Has he been doing just enough to get by so that no one's worrying too much about him?
Those were some close last rounds. The previous round before that against Simon, he even struggled a little bit. Kind of took him a while to get his footing here. Now he's I think he also was one of the guys here that helped out Bessie. Learned a lot of stuff that she knows. And now they're going head to head. This is going to be.
So they're opposing each other.
It is Rat Miata against Bessie. It is Devin against Dean, aka Roadrunner.
This is going to be very, very interesting. Condor getting some waves from adoring fans down there trackside. Condor, anything else to add? You're a noted Formula One fan. You've been to quite a few races. Are there any similarities here between the karting and Formula One?
I mean, sure, maybe. Like, they're both cars with 4 wheels.
That's a good start.
But no, I mean, this is way different, right? This is especially what we're doing tonight, where it's all about time. It's all about the average lap time. Obviously, in Formula One, you got to be fast over an average laps, but you're racing people. This is straight time trial, so it's all about who can really put down the focus. You can't just get out ahead and then all of a sudden say, I'm going to coast for a little bit, like Max Verstappen does when he gets a big lead.
Oof. Well, to any Formula One fans in the chat, some shade has been thrown. Condor gets any faster, maybe he might be able to give Max Verstappen a run for his money in real life. I tell you what, it looks like we are cooling off the track a little bit before some of these final rounds. I think we're going to go ahead and throw it to a commercial, and we'll see who else we can drag up into the commentary booth.
All right, everybody. I am back in the commentary booth after just getting knocked out of this championship, unfortunately. Cheshire was just extremely consistent out there. It was just something I could not answer to. So
Me and Patrick were almost at a loss for words the last couple rounds. The events taking place, the surprises, the young talent. This is incredible to watch.
it is quite incredible. And yeah, I'm definitely still trying to cool off from that adrenaline rush. And yeah, so just give me a little bit. I'll get back into back into this again after just running out there for a couple times in a row.
There's a lot of racing out there. How close exactly was your final margin?
It was
that was a battle.
I think it was .07. So
That was it. That was a battle.
yeah, it was quite a battle. The thing is my best lap time was an 05. And hers was an 05 too, so that only canceled out.
Yes.
And I could not answer her lap times of getting down in the ones consistently. I could not hit the ones. I just skipped the ones, went down to the 05s, and then just sailed in the twos, and that's all I could really do. So getting back to the action that's out on the track right now, we got Roadrunner, Cheshire, Rat Miata, and Devin. Roadrunner is our favored winner at this current moment. He did knock out the previous AEKC set runner-up from 2021, so he is out. Roadrunner is in, setting a 1.69 already. Cheshire going up at a 3.51.
So for all the fans watching, this race right here, these are your final four drivers. These are the ones going for it. Devin against Roadrunner head-to-head. Rat Miata versus Cheshire Cat. Again, like you said, last round, Roadrunner knocking out the runner-up, Renegade. He had a lot of hope. You know he wanted it this year after what happened last year.
Yeah, I actually had a chat with him while he was down there. He was a little upset, you know. He got a short fuse on him, but you know, these tournaments, they're all fun and games until you're out. Everyone's having a good time. Everyone's, you know, cheering each other on. Everyone's so happy, and then you realize you're out and you get a little bit of depression. But once it's over and you're watching the final four, which we are watching right now, it just gets you back excited again. People are looking at these times. We have 8 or 9 people just staring at the times right now, looking at what these averages are, and it's just, you know, it's an incredible community that we have here at 3RK League.
And these performances today have been incredible also. I mean, Cheshire Cat making the run that she is. Devin, the young upright, he's in second place right now. I mean, this is anybody's game. This is really the time to go and put your stamp on it.
Yeah, it really is. So we got Cheshire versus Rat Miata. Cheshire is beating out Rat Miata by .08 on his I don't know what we should call that, the undropped average?
Undropped average, I like that.
Just call it an undropped average. And then we got Devin and Roadrunner, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So, yep, Roadrunner has officially set 2 laps in the ones, which has proven time and time again to be quite difficult to actually do consistently. Roadrunner is one of the very few that might be able to, but he is just sailing in the 2s at the current moment. So yeah, right now it is very, very warm out there. Anybody who stepped out and came back in here knows it's probably like 15 degrees difference, and these carts have been running over and over and over again to their absolute maximum capacity. And near the end of these 10-lap races, they're starting to lose power because they just can't handle this much heat, this much repetitive driving over and over again, which wouldn't really happen in a normal circumstance. And this isn't really, these carts weren't entirely designed to be run 90 degrees probably out near that track, near the chargers with all that heat. And they're starting to slow down a little bit, but these drivers are certainly starting to speed up as Roadrunner gets a 22.155 fastest lap time, Devin at a 22.231, Cheshire 2.69, and we got Rat Miata 3.54. Those averages are definitely going to be the telltale who's going to move on, who is not. And we are Because we are only down to our 4 drivers, there's going to be a little bit of a lull between all of our races. Just because, these carts do have to charge up, keep them all topped up, keep them at those top performances, let them cool down a little bit so they can really perform to their top level.
All right, as you mentioned the heat and all of this now, after, making it to the last round and going as deep as you did in this playoff run, what effect is fatigue gonna, when is the fatigue effect gonna start taking place on these drivers here?
It's already taken place, I can tell you that. After my second race, I was already starting to feel, the arm pump. And, you're going to feel that no matter what. Whenever you're driving these carts, they are extremely physical, and you're just really putting everything into trying to get such a good lap out here. And the main part that is really fatiguing is the heat and the bouncing of the carts.
Those carts were very bouncy, yes.
Especially going through the hairpin and the new kink that we have. The carts will grip up so much that they will just throw their own weight underneath them and just hop. And with these tires getting as hot as they are not able to handle the loads going through them. Just the nature of the tires. They're over probably 150 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and if you try to touch one of these tires, it's gonna hurt you.
Yes, you'll burn. And I'm not a scientist, but I do know higher temperatures in those tires, the air pressure goes up. When the air pressure goes up, it's a lot easier to get those tires jumping across the ground, especially with the load that they're going on in turns. And that was a thing we noticed too when it comes to Bessie's run. If you looked at her in kart 2, as opposed to Enderbeast, who was driving in kart 5, I believe, in that last race, everywhere along the track, Bessie was just smooth, going into the hairpin, just smooth. But that 5 kart with Enderbeast, it from the get-go was just all over. You could notice the difference. It was significant.
Yeah, I'm definitely noticing Cheshire is extremely dialed in today. Whenever she was racing against me, she was just doing lap after lap within 1,000th of a second in the ones. We haven't seen that yet tonight, so Cheshire might be the one driver that you really want to look out for tonight, who might actually take the cake at the when everything is all said and done. But we'll have to see what the second round says. It really, once again, all depends on, can you drive the next kart?
Now, I will say this. Now, this is I'm not predicting any winners here, and I'm not saying that young Devin out there doesn't have as much a chance as any of these guys, but coming into tonight, you kind of had a feel that if you're going to win the championship, you have to go through Roadrunner down to the end. He's been a very big threat for a long time.
Yes, you definitely do, and I think it's pretty safe to say at this point, unless something goes catastrophically wrong, just with his record that he's had tonight, we'll see if he does make it all the way into those finals. One thing I do want to point out is the kart 14 tonight has really not been the kart of choice for these drivers. I know Drew Ratmiata, he did not have a very good lap time in that kart, and Simon before that, he had an even worse kart. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have to see what's gonna happen.
And we noticed that in the booth too, that 14 kart was making some a lot of the karts, you can't really tell just from your naked eye what the difference is between them, aside from some slight jumping. But that kart 14 was not posting the lap times you would hope it would. It seems like the karts that you really kind of want to find yourself in is kart number 2 has been very dominant. Seems as though kart 11's been putting up some good runs here. Before tonight, kart 5 was one of the fan favorites of everybody, but after that last race, seeing it hop all over, it'll be interesting. But that's why I love these playoffs. That factor of you are driving the same opponent or the same kart that your opponent drove for the second half. It really makes it a pure test of skill.
Oh man, there is not a fairer way that they could have this set up. Going in the exact same kart near minutes after the other driver, it is definitely up to the driver if they can adapt to that kart and adapt to the ever-changing conditions as it is. getting cooler outside, but with all these people in here, everything's all closed up, make everything a nice clean environment in here. It's definitely rising in temperature with us, keep rolling through tonight. So getting back to kart 14, it looks like Devin did have a pretty good fast lap time in kart 14, and I mean, Roadrunner wasn't much farther ahead. He was less than 1/10 of a second on his best lap time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really going to come down to, can Dean handle kart 14 the way that Devin had? It's really going to be a big test of, how has that kart held up? Is it going to keep its power throughout the whole race? Is it going to cool down enough? I mean, it's really anybody's game now. I said before, we could quite safely say Dean could make it through, but it's really not looking that way at this point.
Devin is putting together an incredible run, and I'll tell you what, win or lose for this kid, this is an amazing experience and opportunity. He's learning a lot right now, making it this far. He's going to be around for a while. This is part of the next generation, and he is not done tonight either. He could, just imagine that, coming into your, I believe it's first playoffs, after just graduating from the junior league not long ago, come out here and upset the one and only Roadrunner to go to the finals. I mean, there's a lot to look for in this next race, and I'm hyped.
Oh yeah,
I will say.
Definitely stay tuned. We're going to be right back after a short commercial. All right, everybody, welcome back to our, was this the semifinals?
This is the semifinals.
Semifinals, race two. This is going to determine our next two racers that are going to compete for that $10,000 grand prize down in Jacksonville, Florida. Hopefully it does happen on this occasion. Past 2 years have been canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we will see exactly who is all going to go down. So from 3RK, we have Wags, who did actually get knocked out right at the very beginning. And last year we had Luke. He sadly did not make it to this year's playoffs. However, he does have a spot to go down to Jacksonville, Florida. And now we are going to see who our final 2 contenders are, as our final 4 are taking the track. And we'll see. Dean in cart number 14, Roadrunner Dean. And we have cart 5, Devin. That is his competition. Cheshire in cart 8 and Rat Miata in cart 11. So the real telltale tale of who is going to move on is if Roadrunner is ahead of Devin here. Because Roadrunner was ahead of Devin in the previous one, but Cheshire was ahead of Rat Miata. So whenever they change carts, if Rat Miata is ahead of Cheshire, it's definitely anybody's game. Alright, first laps are underway. Green flag is being waved for all of our drivers coming down that front straight. And we are waiting as Drew is going through the kink. He was going to be that final driver to take the green flag. Anthony, our wonderful track official, is going to put that flag right back in its holster. We got the 3 other track officials talking about what's going on next, or, you know, maybe what they're having for dinner later. I have no idea.
It's probably that.
Yeah, it's probably what they're having for dinner after this, you know. Alright, first laps are coming in, and it looks like Roadrunner is ahead of Devin just by 0.06 of a second for his first lap, and Rat Miata is behind Cheshire. So that is definitely going to be interesting. Drew has been known to be an upset in some of these things, but it is not quite looking to be like that at the current moment. We'll have to see if he can pull out another 1/10 of a second. However, Cheshire just pulled that 1/10 right out, as Drew does get a little bit of time, not quite as much as Cheshire. Roadrunner is still ahead of Devin by 0.06 of a second on the best lap time, and he is almost a 1/10 clear on the average. At the current moment, it looks like our final 2 might be Roadrunner and Cheshire. We're just going to have to see at the end of these 7 laps that we have remaining in here if there's any upsets that are going to happen.
What a battle that would be to see Cheshire get against Roadrunner. I mean, and this is not to take anything away from Devin. This has been an incredible run. We'll see him again in the playoffs for sure, but I mean, just look at the matchups here, though. It's youth versus experience and youth versus experience. I mean, does it get much better than this?
It really doesn't. I mean, look at that gap between Cheshire and Devin on their fastest lap.
And Roadrunner extends his best lap time.
He does extend his best lap time, getting into the 1s. And so we will see. We got Rat Miata and versus Cheshire, and we got Roadrunner versus Devin. Pretty easy to see up on that screen there, unless Cheshire gets all the way up ahead of maybe P2, P1. And so our first 2 are against each other. Bottom 2 are against each other. Cheshire has more than a 1/10 of a second clear of Rat Miata. With 4 laps remaining, it's almost pretty safe to say Cheshire will be moving on to the finals. Same thing going on with Roadrunner with 4 laps remaining. He will be moving on to the finals.
You mentioned it earlier, just the consistency that Bessie has.
Yeah, I mean,
That's been the difference.
So whenever we go to this final round here, it is going to be a little bit different. The 2 drivers that make it to the final are able to choose whatever cart they want. So they can either choose their best cart that they've had all night, which normally does get chosen. However, the second cart is a strategic option. They will actually choose a cart that the other opponent might not have been so strong in, and they are a little bit better than their opponent, which is actually what happened last year against Matt and Luke. That's what brought it down to the wire, and it was really 1 lap that's set in stone whenever Luke set a lap time that was just a 1/10 of a second faster than what I believe Matt set last year. And that was the 1 lap that sent him to Jacksonville, and it really does come down to that.
That strategy was amazing. Pick that cart that you know your opponent's going to struggle in, and then knowing that in that next race, when you have the good cart and they have that not so good cart, all you got to do is make up that time. I mean, it was a brilliant move, and it was executed perfectly. And last year's playoffs was just amazing to get to watch.
Yeah, it really was, and it looks like at the grand scheme of things right now, it will be Roadrunner versus Cheshire, our position 1 and 2 up on the board. We will keep you guys updated to see if that is actually what is going to happen. And we are going to go into a short commercial break while we get things all set and ready for our finals. Do not go anywhere. This is the race that counts. Coming up here in Leetsdale. Welcome back. Our two finalists, Cheshire Cat and Roadrunner, they have made their kart selections. However, let's have a look at a little bit behind the scenes of these two drivers as we just look at their driver profiles here. You can have a look of their hobbies, their age, where they're from, maybe some things they like to do in their free time. Definitely going to be interesting to see, their favorite track configurations, if that will actually aid them at the end, and see exactly who is going to come up on top for these playoffs. So they have made their kart selections. We have Cheshire Cat. She has selected kart number 20. I don't exactly know how good that kart will be tonight for her, but I'm sure it is a quite strategic decision. And Roadrunner is starting in kart number 2, which does have the fastest lap of the night. So that was definitely a strategic decision by him, choosing the fastest kart, and it is a kart that does aid his driving style.
Now you also gotta think though that's gonna aid Cheshire Cat's driving style too. Kart 2 has been a favorite kart around here for a while. Got a lot of the track records. Just to look more at these drivers here, at what they've been through to get here. Cheshire Cat ended up as our 6th seed in this playoffs. She did the Fall League and finished 13th. She did the Winter League, did not do the entire league, finished in 25th. And then in the last Summer League, finished in 5th place. And then for Roadrunner, Dean, participating in the Fall League, he won the Fall League, did not do the Winter League, and then he did partake in the Summer League and finished 2nd. So these are two drivers that they know how to get it done here.
They definitely do know how to get it done. Oh man, it's been a long night of driving, commentating. Definitely gonna see how these two drivers are going to end up. Roadrunner is coming out first, kart number 2, and then we have Bessie coming out right after, Cheshire Cat, kart number 20. So Roadrunner has been very, very strong tonight, and he has been a little bit less consistent than what we have seen from him during normal league running, or, maybe this track just doesn't quite fit what he likes in a track. He does like the double hairpin. That is his favorite track configuration. And that does aid his driving style. He does like to get the rear end of that kart around a little bit more than what most people would like to do. Bessie is more of a balanced driver, gets the rear end out when she needs to, but relies on the front tires to really dig in, give her that grip going around the corners. And we will see as the green flag is out for both drivers, and Dean is about to go across the start-finish line. Right about now, his first lap is going to be a 21.944. Wow. The first lap of the night is going to be the fastest lap for the finals. That is a whole 0.7 of a second clear of Cheshire Cat just from that first lap.
That was a statement.
Now that is something that really puts down, I want to go to Jacksonville. I want to win that $10,000, and gets a 21.902. Now this is quite something that we have not seen at all tonight. Dean might have been sandbagging up until this point. We have no clue whatsoever. This is something that we have never seen before in the final race of the night. First 2 laps are all the way down in the 21s, and just as I was saying that he isn't consistent, I guess he is not consistent until he gets into the 21s, because all 3 of his laps have been in the 21s.
He's almost in the 21.8s.
He is almost all the way down in those 21s, as you do say, Brandon. We'll see what he does on lap 4 here. And he gets down into the 21.87.
Oh,
he is flying out there. And this is pace we have not seen from a driver for a very, very long time. Cheshire in this next race, after they swap karts, is going to have to make up more than 0.6 of a second. Roadrunner's average with a drop is a 21.915 because he has not had a lap outside of the 21s, while every other driver who has driven tonight hasn't even dipped into the 21s.
And Bessie's off to we're racing for average lap times here. She's still only to 22.4 for her best lap time. This is going to be a huge, huge gap to try to close in the second race.
And there he goes once again with the consistency. We were saying how Bessie was dialed in tonight. She might be dialed in, and she is going very consistent. However, we have never seen this type of consistency with any driver here at 3RK, setting all of his lap times in the 21s. His worst lap time was his first one at a 21.95. And now he just set a 21.899 with an average of a 21.916. Now that is 3/10 clear of any average we have out on that board.
He knows what he was doing when he picked cart number 2.
He absolutely knew what he was doing. That is incredible racing and driving from Dean
And he
in that
just
cart.
improved it again.
Just improved once again, 21.847. This is something Bessie's got to be quaking in her boots right now.
This is a performance.
She is improving as she is going with an average of a 22.485 without the drops. But Dean might put his average all the way down in the 21.8s as we're going across the final lap. That was his first lap out in the 22s, and it was a 22.004. We'll see what his final lap can do if he can. He's definitely answered to Cheshire, and oh man,
He's just so smooth in that cart. Looks like a robot.
it does. He is like that thing is just planted. Final lap 8.63. With the drops, his 2 drop laps are going to be a 21.95 and a 22.004. His average is for sure going to be in the 21.8s.
We just get bombarded.
Yeah,
with
we did
water
get
balloons?
you guys definitely couldn't see that on the stream at all, but we did just have 4 of our drivers go to anarchy and start throwing things up at the commentator's booth, try to distract us. You probably heard that on the mic.
I think they're water balloons that did not blow up.
No, that is not water balloons.
Oh, those
that's
are squishy
slime.
toys from
no,
our
it's slime.
Slime. Okay. Well, they probably got it from our arcade redemption center back there.
Oh, they
so
100% did. They all have the slime out there.
making good use of it.
All right. Well, Dean has definitely put down a statement here tonight. Average with the drops are in the 21.8s, and Cheshire is going to have to really, really push in Kart 2. Her fastest lap time was a 22.05 in Kart 2, and that was the second fastest lap time of tonight. And, man.
You gotta wonder what. So not only what Bessie can do in Kart 2, but what Dean's gonna be able to do in Kart 20.
Kart 20,
So-
yeah. I don't think we've seen Dean in Kart 20 yet tonight.
And I kind of wonder too, like, is Kart 20, is that a not as good car? That's why her lap times were a little lower. Is she trying to pull the Luke strategy like last year?
I don't know. It's really tough to say at this point.
Either way, that was just domination from Dean. That was. I don't know if I'm gonna see a performance like that anytime soon again.
I think Cheshire knew exactly what she was doing when she picked 20.
Breaking into the commentator's booth here is Drew Ratmiata.
So you think you got some strategy here, huh?
Yeah, because from my experience racing with Dean, if he gets a cart that's just a little off, he cracks under pressure. I think this is Cheshire playing mind games. I'll be interested to see if Dean can keep any sort of consistency in that car
Yeah,
compared to Cheshire.
As someone that works here, I can confirm. I've noticed that too with Dean. So
Yeah.
this could be more interesting than we think.
I mean, it's really going to come down to, did Dean do enough damage control in Kart 2 to, like, he was just consistently down there. If he is not consistent in Kart 20, but he sets a few absolute slammers out there, it's probably going to take him all the way.
That's as much damage as you can do. That's.
Yeah.
I don't think he could have done much more to give himself a cushion than what
No,
he did.
that's
so.
the biggest cushion you could have possibly
Yes.
given.
And now he's just got the work to do in Kart 20, which I'm not sure if he can do it. I'm rooting for Cheshire. She beat me, so
She's
She
the
beat
odds
me.
on. She's the odds-on fan favorite right now in the stream and everything.
taught her everything she knows. Just want that.
Oh, I mentioned that earlier. Don't you worry.
Okay.
All right.
It's great to see this young talent just sprouting though.
It is. I mean, we
right in
have our
front of us.
veterans knocked out, and we got 2 newbies for this AEKC Championship.
So Drew, while you're up here, let me ask you, what did you think about the first matchup with you, Wags, Dean, and Matt all racing against each
I wasn't
other
in that
the
race.
second round? But I mean, isn't it crazy though that those 4 were?
It
in the
was
second round?
nuts to see them all clustered together.
because it's like the 4 fastest that I've personally raced with.
Yeah, we called them the
Out.
heavy hitter group.
Out on track, and it was one of those where you're going to drop half the heavy hitters right there in that one round, which that just changed everything, especially for my side of the sheet. It just softened things up.
Yeah, that's what was blowing our mind. We said that too after the race, that two of those dudes were not gonna make it even to the next round. And
Yeah, Matt's still a little salty.
man, after coming as close as he did last year, he
Yeah.
wanted it. He really wanted it.
Oh
this
yeah,
year.
he really wanted it, but he just doesn't have that consistency. And especially with this track layout, his driving style, I'm not sure it fits.
It is interesting because there's not been a lot of practice on this at all. Most of the guys before tonight haven't driven on this track in some of them ever.
I haven't driven this chicane since what, 2019 or so.
I think that's the last time we had it out.
Yeah, it took quite a minute to remember, and even then, I've changed my line since then, which I'm happy my line got me to the semifinals. But wow.
I think that even speaks more to like the young talent out here, like Devin, for example, making it.
Oh yeah.
With that new kink out there, him still being able to get to the semifinals, that's impressive.
Yeah, and even then, the semifinals, the average lap time between all 4 of us was what, a 10th?
We did not get to see that number up here, but I can only imagine it was incredibly close.
If I remember right, there was a 10th of a second between, I think it was Roadrunner who was the fastest out of that, and I was the slowest, and it was only a 10th of a second was the average. It's just so close.
Oh yes. What could be going through these two drivers' heads right now? I mean, you got a trip to Jacksonville on the line to win $10,000. I mean,
Trip to Jacksonville sounds beautiful right now.
oh, absolutely.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us. Do not go away. We still have our final race to go on. We'll be right back after just a short commercial break. A few minutes. We'll be right back with you. Welcome everybody to the final race of the night. We have Cheshire Cat in the favored cart of tonight in cart number 2, and we have Roadrunner in cart number 20. They are now in the carts, in each other's carts that they have chosen. So it's definitely going to be interesting if Cheshire can really answer to that fastest lap time from Roadrunner in the 21.8s, and definitely an average close to the 21.8s. Cheshire's average was somewhere in the 4s with her fastest lap in a 4.08, so she is definitely consistent. But it's going to be extremely interesting, to say the least, what Dean is going to be able to do in cart 20.
You heard Drew say it too before we left. He thinks that this was a smart play, a well thought out play by Bessie, because he seemed pretty confident telling us that he thinks that Bessie has a good shot here because of the strategy she made. So, and Drew's a seasoned vet too, so he knows what he's talking about. So, we'll see.
He does know what he is talking about, but if Bessie cannot drag this cart down into the 21s, it's almost safe to say it's most likely over for her championship standings going to Jacksonville. But it's still anybody's game at this point. I mean, the statement Dean made out on that track was something we have never seen before. So it's just, yeah.
But when the stream first started and we watched the first couple rounds of racing, I was thinking to myself, you think anybody is going to hit the 21s? But the idea of that sounded so ridiculous, I didn't even mention it on camera, but here we are. And
we're well into the 21s with Dean, and Dean is the only driver to do it. I mean, we've gotten close to 22.05, 2 of them.
But those were best lap times too. His average was in 21s.
But guess what those 22.05s were in? Guess what cart?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say cart number 2.
It was in cart number 2. So cart number 2 is very favorable for these drivers on this track.
And we know that Bessie is consistent.
Bessie is consistent as we are sending out the final 2 drivers going out onto the track. You hear the cheers out on the track from all of our spectators here in Leetsdale. We are about to go and see between these 2 drivers who is going to have a paid trip to Jacksonville to compete for a grand prize of $10,000. Take home a check of $400 today to go ahead and pay some bills or maybe have some fun later tonight. And we are going to see as Bessie crosses the checkered line first thing, getting them out on the track. Getting them out on the track. And we will see as the waiting for first lap is now up on that scoreboard, and it's going to be interesting to see what Bessie can do. I saw her hopping just a little bit through that hairpin, hopping a little bit through the kink, and Dean is also hopping a little bit, but I did not really see him doing that a whole lot whenever he was in cart 2. It looks like Bessie can't keep that rear end right on the ground like Dean was able to do, but we'll see what kind of lap time she can throw down, and we'll exactly see once they go across the finish line right about now. Bessie coming along with only a 22.2. That is quite unfortunate to see, as Dean can get a 22.1. He is already a 1/10 of a second faster than Cheshire in the same cart that she just ran, only a 22.4. On the first lap, Dean was able to go 3/10 faster of a second than Bessie. And so it looks like if Bessie only just did a 22.4, let's see what Dean can do. He did a 22.2. So still faster than Cheshire right here. With still 2 laps remaining in this race, we'll see if Bessie can find some pace in that cart. And it does look like she's keeping it a little bit more stable through those corners. She gets a 2.42. Long braking zone into that turn 1, fastest part of this track. Almost topping out that cart about 30 miles an hour. Pretty quick in these carts whenever your back end is only about 1 or 2 inches away from that ground.
Interesting to see too, because Bessie started this race leaving the pits before Dean, so there's that short gap between Bessie and Dean. So seeing if that gap widens or shortens is going to tell you a good bit about what might happen at the end here. If that gap closes, it's looking good for Dean. But
I mean, I can tell you right now, the gap is starting to close
It
ever
is.
so slightly. Dean's going through the hairpin right now, just as Bessie is leaving the kink back there. I mean, first things first, I mean, I know Dean is absolutely tearing up the track right now, but congratulations to Bessie out there. She has fought her way through. She beat 2 veterans, including me. She beat Drew, she beat me, and she is just doing an absolutely outstanding job out there on the track.
incredible run.
Honestly, she is definitely going longer than most people thought that she would, and she just showed up tonight and showed all the people who are coming in all cocky that she is the one that can make it all the way to the end.
And she's doing better than she did in that first race, but it's just down to Dean. Now you can see Dean while he's driving that car. He doesn't look entirely like himself in some of those turns, but it still looks like he's holding a solid. It looks like they're both averaging 21.2s right now, from what it looks like.
Dean is actually in the 21.2
Yes,
yeah, so it's only a tenth of a second between them, but it's still the fact that Dean is slightly ahead of Bessie. She did set that 22.155, but yeah, and then there goes Dean setting a 22.123. This type of consistency from cart to cart is something we haven't seen from Dean before tonight, and I think that the track is almost at such an optimum point where it's so consistent that you can really just predict what the cart's going to do, as Cheshire goes at 22.044. Those are kind of the laps that she needed to do quite a lot earlier, and unfortunately she didn't pull them out. We'll see if she can get a 21 here. Set a track record maybe last lap, maybe keep those spirits up high as the checkered flag comes out for Cheshire, setting a 22.107. All right, we will be right back with you with the results from the podium after a short break while we get everything set up, get all of everything set up, and we will come back at the podium and victory lane to see who is going to take that check.
Our AEKC playoff champion is, with a average lap of 22.03 seconds, Roadrunner! Those who are still here, which is everybody here that's listening to me, if I could get everybody up here to get a group picture, I would appreciate that. I should have did that right from the very beginning, but all my contenders, please.
Can you just hold this? This is the stream camera.
You're not camera shy. Right, you take a picture.
Can you get them all, Patrick?
No, actually, I can't. Glad you said that.
Let's squeeze it. Let's get squeezed in. Squeeze in after you like that. Up front.
I'm like, not
All right, y'all. Everyone, please stay at the store stadium. Me too. All right, everybody. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's have some pizzazz this time. 3, 2, 1. Look at us. We're race car drivers. We're faster than all of you. All right. Great job. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming. All right. Thank you all. Thank you all. We start again in September. Woo!
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Thank you for watching the American E-Kart Championship stream here at Three Rivers Karting. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Thank you for tuning in. Congratulations to Dean. Hello, Joel. And good job to all of our competitors that we had tonight. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.